8 invisible external factors influencing our lives. Xiefeng, May 9th, 2020. Translated by Q and edited by Care. We should be aware of these 8 mysterious and invisible factors that influence our lives. Feng Shui, geomantic omens, gods and deities, grievances and curses of others, ancestral virtues and sins, solar radiation, socio-ecological environments, destiny trajectories, mathematics. Let us examine each one of them in greater detail. Feng Shui mainly refers to one's geographical and atmospheric environments, the veins flowing underground, the humidity or dryness of the climate, whether the air is fresh and its flow is smooth and unobstructed, whether there is sufficient light and the geomagnetic field is comfortable and pleasant, as well as the water quality and the chemical elements contained within and whether it is alkaline or acidic, and so on. It is really not easy to find a perfect geomantic omen place. The best way to avoid long-term damage to yourself by certain unfavorable factors is to change your living space often. Most chronic diseases are caused by feng shui, and they can be cured after changing one's environment. For example, if people with arthritis who live in humid areas can relocate themselves to places with drier humidities for 3 to 5 years, their arthritis can heal completely. People in my hometown in the thousand-year world never get sick for many reasons, but one of them is that people change their living environments often. This is why I emphasize that Life-Genuine Celestials must move to another home every 3 years. When there are 256 homes, new oasis for life, on the earth, it will be hard to get sick for a lifetime if you relocate yourself every 3 years. Affection of gods and deities. Everything has spirituality. What we call heaven gods, mountain gods, water gods, earth gods, and so forth are actual gods and deities, and if we worship them in our hearts, then we will have no bad luck. For example, if you want to climb a mountain, pray to it and ask its God for protection, and you will not fall or injure yourself during your climb. If you pray to a river god or deity when crossing its river, then you will cross it safely. If you soothe and comfort the trees, flowers, insects, birds, and beasts where you live, then you will face no misfortune. Other people's grievances and curses are very harmful to life. If you do not believe me, then you should live among people who are full of grievances. It will not only make people lose their fighting spirits, courage, and confidence in their pursuit of better lives, but it will also cause people to become depressed, get sick, and have nightmares. Curses are even more powerful. They are silent harm from their hearts and invisible thought powers. It is also a curse to secretly cut a ground vein or manipulate an ancestor's grave. Curses will lead to the declines and extinctions of families and nations. They will even lead to sudden disasters, so it is best to remain cognizant. Ancestral virtue and sin karma have great impacts on life. An ancestor's virtuous karma can help their descendants to flourish and prosper, but their sin karma can lead them to wither and decline. Therefore, whether our lives are smooth or full of ups and downs, we must consult whether the karma that our ancestors created for us is virtuous or sinful. After learning the answer, we can find a way to remedy it. Otherwise, the trajectory of our lives will not change. Solar radiation. People whose ancestors lived in or near the tropics tend to have darker skin, while those whose ancestors lived closer to either of Earth's poles have lighter skin. This is caused by the amount of ultraviolet solar radiation that is present. We need to be exposed to the right amount for proper vitamin D production, neither too much nor too little. The amount varies with our latitude, and we can often change it to alleviate the damage of insufficient or excess ultraviolet solar radiation. The socio-ecological environment is crucial to the formation of human personalities and consciousnesses. It includes factors such as culture, beliefs, conventions, customs, overall values, and the outlooks on life, and the universe. If you are enclosed in a bad socio-ecological environment for a long time, you will become incapable of distinguishing fragrance from stench. It will be hard for you to know that there are mountains beyond mountains and skies above skies, and you will live very ignorantly. The trajectory of fate is an invisible binding force created by people's previous lives' merits and demerits, as well as an invisible manipulating force. The 18 unmanageable factors of life are an invisible arrangement of the trajectory of fate. Why am I so lucky or unlucky? Why have I met such a noble or unreasonable person? And other such questions are established arrangements along the trajectory of fate. To change that, to resolve or continue your trajectory of fate, you must self-cultivate and self-refine. The influence of mathematics is mysterious. Symmetry and proportion are very important. To be symmetrical and proportional, you must work hard on the math. The figure of the golden section looks beautiful, and this is caused by perfect symmetry and the most appropriate proportions. Symmetry and proportion must follow math strictly. Math is the principle of numbers. The more symmetrical things are, the longer their lifespans, and the more symmetrical a life is, the healthier it is. Once the math falls out of balance, a life will quickly decay and die, and it also becomes easier to suffer from nature. Therefore, how high a house should be, how big its doors and windows should be, how far or close it should be to the neighbor's house, how many sets of clothes and shoes should be stored in its closets, how high its tables, stoves, and windows should be, on which dates you can go out for trips or important meetings should be held, on which date the construction of the house should be started, how many plates, forks, and chopsticks should a family have, how big your house should be, and so on, are all in the math. If the math is suitable, then everything will go well, but if it is not, then everything will go against your will. There are 64 factors that affect people. The permutations and combinations of them are astronomical figures. As a person, it is hard to attend to one thing without neglecting another. The simplest method available is to follow the way of the greatest creator, the path of life. Genuine. 雪峰与年轻人聊聊. Xiefeng chats with young people. Xiefeng. October 22nd, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. After more than 60 years of springs, summers, autumns, and winters, I have some insightful life experiences to share with young people. They may not be correct, but they are just for reference. Life is the perception and experience of life in the human world. The richer that experience is, the deeper its perception is. The deeper that perception is, the clearer its truth is. Therefore, life is about experiences, and only those experiences form the wealth that life possesses. Some of those experiences are frustration, disappointment, failure, despair, love, friendship, kinship, sex, holy love, the spring, summer, autumn, winter, wind, clouds, rain and snow endowed by nature, joy, freedom, happiness, satisfaction, sacredness, solemnity, beauty, infinity, the coming and leaving of predestined relationships on the trajectory of life, and the cycles of causes and effects. When you are young, do not pursue vanity and trends, be engulfed by the trends of the times. Compare yourself with others, or pursue material possessions, such as buying real estate, cars, expensive consumer goods, high-end supplies, and so forth. If you focus on material abundance and possessions, then you are heading towards decadence, corruption, depravity, pain, troubles, and death. Rather, you should spend your time and energy on learning scientific knowledge and skills, how to behave, the teachings of gods, Buddhas, and celestials, and how to enhance the value of your life. Do not study metaphysics or enter religious groups, political groups, or various cultivation groups because they are all problematic. Especially do not learn anything about magical powers, special abilities, or spell powers. I do not even advocate the premature learning of Buddhism, Taoism, or divine law, let alone supernatural powers. Learning is to enrich one's understanding and to improve the quality of their life, not to be an official or make money, glorify and illuminate one's ancestors, or to be outstanding, let alone to build your good fame forever, but to experience life more deeply and to experience fun and wit of life. Why is the most important thing in life to enrich one's understanding and improve the quality of life? You can only understand it if you look at and study stones. From diamonds, emeralds, rubies, sapphires, opals, aquamarine, tourmaline, moonstones, and garnets, to pebbles, each of their values are completely different. Although we cannot always be human diamonds and emeralds, we cannot let ourselves become the pebbles among people. The more precious the stones are, the more embedded they are into the most sacred places and the rougher they are, the more they are laid under people's feet. If someday someone can become a god, you will know that the purer their quality of life, the more they will live in a free and perfect world, and the lower their quality of life, the more they will live in a world of control and dilapidation. When you are young, do not waste your mind on building relationships with people because the cost of doing so is very high. Many people spend their precious time, energy, and even wealth on maintaining relationships, but it is not worth it. As long as they are people, they will part ways with you. Lasting relationships are almost impossible to maintain. Following predestined relationships is best, but not maintaining them deliberately. True confidence will appear on your road to strive forward instead of in the relationships you maintained by racking your brains. If you are a precious gemstone, then you will not need to establish relationships deliberately because people will chase you. If you are a cobblestone, then no matter how you rack your brains to establish relationships, people will abandon you. We are currently living in the era of network information, and the biggest characteristic of it is impetuousness. People are impetuous, markets are impetuous, society is impetuous, religion and political parties are all impetuous. There are bubbles everywhere, and they will burst at any time. Therefore, learn to calm down and think and study those that can last longer. According to my observation and analysis, 95% of the internet's content, including social media, is rubbish. Therefore, if you invest your time and energy with social media on the internet, you will be collecting rubbish and you will be dealing with rubbish. In the long run, you will become a garbage collector. There are three major wealths in life: material wealth, spiritual wealth, and soul wealth. When you are young, you should pursue soul wealth first, then spiritual wealth, and material wealth last. If you have a healthy body, that is equal to having material wealth. It can be said that health is the first material wealth of life. Thus, you should take good care of your body, do not stay up late, do not smoke, avoid drugs and alcohol, do not overeat, but eat in an orderly manner, and do not do so indiscriminately to satisfy your appetite. Your first priority in life is to honor your parents. How your parents treat you is their business, but as children, do what children should do. There are many ways to do this. The most important is to not let your parents worry about you and rush about and overwork for you. You may not be able to provide superior material wealth for your parents, but at least do not let your parents work hard to provide you with superior material conditions because you are a human, not a pig, and your parents raised you to adulthood. After you have reached the age of 18 years, you have to walk on your own and you can no longer rely on your parents for your survival. In this way, even if you cannot afford to support your parents in their old age and bury them, at least you will not have too much guilt in your heart, and in the eyes of heaven, you will be regarded as a reasonable person, a person who can be blessed. I have compiled a book, Treasures of Classical Advice, which is the essence of the wisdom and experiences of human sages. It is worth reading. I hope that you will read it when you are free, because you will definitely benefit from it. 共产主义，劳苦大众的唯一幸福之路. Communism is the only way to happiness. For the toiling masses. Xiefeng, November 20th, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. Communism is actually sharing, and the higher the degree of sharing of things, the greater their value. The most effective way to maximize the value of all resources is to share them with everyone, which is communism's essence. People are inherently selfish, so they reject communism intuitively, and they are most afraid of sharing when they have little material wealth. If a person is so poor that they only have a broken bicycle, then they will be unwilling to allow anyone else to ride it. This is human nature. However, when people not only have material wealth, but also power, status, and reputations, they always want to make themselves and their families live more luxuriously than those around them so that others will envy them. This satisfies their vanity, so they are reluctant to share anything with others. Since Marx founded his theory of communism, the communist movement has almost always been promoted violently and in ways which damage the interests of the property-owning class. The imperfection of Marx's communist theory and the blindness of the behavior of communist practitioners has led to the failure of the communist movement. As a result, when people hear about communism, they instinctively hate it and resist it, which is completely understandable. According to historical experience, I can understand why people demonize and resist communism. This should be a lesson learned, and it can even be said that they are doing right because the so-called communist movements throughout history have run completely counter to the real thing. True communism is gentle, soft, and civilized, not coercive, violent, or depriving others of their property. Who has suffered the most in human history? Of course, it has always been the toiling masses, that is, the common people. For thousands of years, their condition has basically not changed much, and they are still the bearers of most of the suffering. I grew up in Asia, spent more than 10 years in Africa, lived in North America for nearly 4 years, and I have also spent a few months with primitive tribes in Oceania. I felt and experienced deeply the pain and troubles of the commoners everywhere I went. In order to relieve the suffering and troubles of the toiling masses, I have immersed myself in the Bible, Buddhist scriptures, the Quran, the Tao Te Ching, and I have also concentrated on Western spiritual practices and Eastern Osho. I have always paid attention to the global climate and ecological changes, focusing on changes in global political ecology. What I want to tell mankind is that communism is the only bright way out for the common masses. So, what is communism? I have explained some of its theories, but no theories can reveal the essential characteristics of things, let alone analyze all the interpretations and extensions of them. It is only by creating real objects that people can observe intuitively and deeply that they will fully understand them. Therefore, Chanyuan Celestials and I created the purely communistic new oasis for life, formerly the second home. So if you want to know and understand what communism is, you can visit and experience the new oasis for life created by Life Changyuan for yourselves. Many people equate communism with utopia, and there is nothing wrong with this understanding because utopia is the embryonic form of communism, but most of them throughout history have failed. In order to figure out the reasons for their failures, I have carefully analyzed some historical ones, especially the New Harmonious Village, founded by the utopian socialist practitioner, Owen in the United States. I wrote an article to analyze the reasons for its failure in which I opined that its core problem and the reason for its failure was that its utopian leaders did not have clear understandings and blueprints in their minds. They only relied on their passion and were crossing the river by feeling for the stones. So, when encountering the rush of wind, waves, and whirlpools, they could only drown in their rivers. In order to distinguish between the theories and practical activities of communism in history, I call the new oasis for life created by Life Changyuan Xiefeng-style communism. This communism can resolve territorial disputes between countries and excessive consumption of natural resources, solve the corruption problem of government officials, avoid young Galen-style tragedies, reduce criminal activities by three-quarters, enable people to live and work in peace, eliminate war, turmoil, refugees, and hunger, reduce suicide rates by more than half, and can give 98% of the people happy, joyful, free, and blessed lives. Who are these toiling masses? The term refers to those who have suffered their entire lives for food, clothing, housing, transportation, life, old age, sickness, and death. Those who have been struggling for a lifetime and are still struggling. Those who have suffered and have been bullied, troubled, and tortured all their lives. Those who have been looking forward to getting rich every year, while year after year still wearing torn clothes. Those who lack security but see no hope. And those who hate government officials, but on the surface have to show smiles on their faces and be deferential and sycophant to the officials. In short, everyone who wants to live a good life with their hands and diligence are the toiling masses. The cruel reality is that they are people who want to live better lives by hard work, yet their hands cannot rid themselves of troubles, pains, anxiety, sorrow, and even fear throughout their entire lives. This is what happened thousands of years ago. It is the same today, and it will remain this way for thousands of years to come unless we change our traditional production and life mode completely and enter the Xiefeng-style communist society. Otherwise, they will only dream eternally of having better lives. Moral education is always fragile and vulnerable. Christian moral education, Buddhist moral education, Islamic moral education, Confucian moral education, and the moral education of all kinds of sages have been easily destroyed by the face of reality. Look no further than today's China. All Communist Party officials have been raised on Mao Zedong's ideological and moral education, but in the face of money and interests, Mao's thoughts have been shelved. The level of corruption is staggering, millions of yuan, Even tens of millions are not enough. They embezzled hundreds of millions, billions, or even tens of billions. These servants of the people never cared about the lives of all the young Galens? Who cares about the lives of the toiling masses? Very few. Did decades of moral education work? Not at all. Let us look at the recent U.S. presidential election. Before the result of the election had even been settled, the mainstream media in the United States rushed to declare Joe Biden as the president, followed by the heads of Western democracies such as Britain, France, Germany, Israel, and other similar countries which sent congratulatory letters to Biden for his election victory. Even the president of Taiwan, Tsai Ing-wen, who is known as a Democrat, hurriedly sent congratulatory messages to Biden. No matter who is elected president, respecting the facts and listening to the voices and wishes of the people is the basis and bottom line of morality. The mainstream media's announcements and the congratulations of foreign before the facts had emerged and the votes had been counted violates the basic bottom line of morality and does not conform to legal procedures. What should be emphasized here is that most people in Western society have been educated in Christian morality. But where is the morality of the mainstream media? Where is the morality of those national leaders? Democratic countries are like this, but moral education in non-democratic countries is not even worth considering. The facts tell us that moral education is not enough to allow the toiling masses to live and work in peace and contentment because all spiritual chicken soup is an anesthetic. The current rampant Buddhist preaching is even more of an anesthetic, and the preaching to return to traditional Chinese culture is tantamount to advocating for men to wear braids and long mandarin jackets and women to bind their feet. That mysterious and spooky preaching is a portion of poison. Those who care about the welfare of the toiling masses should seek and establish programs which fundamentally guarantee happy lives for them. It might be very good to say that we should put power in the cage of the system, such that government officials dare not, cannot, and would not have access to corrupt practices, but unfortunately, it is the system itself that is the best soil for officials to grow corrupt, so the system will be unable to restrain and stop it because it is its own hotbed of corruption. I ask, can this system shut down power? Can it shield officials from corruption? Of course not. There have been many changes of dynasties throughout Chinese history, but what were the results? The herbal soups changed, but the medicines did not. Individuals changed, but the system did not. The obvious result is that the toiling masses are still the toiling masses, and their toiling nature and destiny have been fundamentally unchanged. If you do not change the traditional production and life mode, then it is of no use to change the ones in charge. It is useless even if you adopt a separation of powers, such as in the United States if the president is Old Wang. The judiciary is run by his brother-in-law, the legislative power is under the control of his third aunt, and the media are controlled by his best friends. Toiling masses, use your heads. Would you have free and happy lives? Xiefeng-style communism is the only way to happiness for the toiling masses. The new oasis for life production and life mode, created by Life Genuine, is a paradise for everyone. Many poor people among the working people have fluky minds, and they always think that they can squeeze into the upper class and live the life of the best as they sharpen their heads. Yes, they have that chance. There have always been one or two people out of 10,000 who have achieved this wish, but the probability of success is much too low, and it is a path that very few common workers will ever take. There are also some commoners who think that since they have million yuan houses and cars worth several 100,000 yuan, that they no longer belong to that low level. In fact, they are self-anesthetized and daydreaming. If they cannot maintain control for 3 days, then their car is just a pile of scrap iron. If they do not have food for 3 days, their million yuan house is just a coat. If there is a major illness or disaster, their property and vehicles will not save them. There are even some poor toiling masses who think that since they have become civil servants with iron rice bowls, secure jobs, they feel that their futures are secure, but in fact that is just a temporary comfort for themselves, and when they get old, they will learn the feelings of life. The sour, sweet, bitter, hot, and salty taste of life. In fact, Xiefeng-style communism is not only the road to happiness for the toiling masses, but also for capitalists and government officials, and the road for the cultivators to become celestials and Buddhas. The reason for this cannot be fully explained in a single article. If you have any doubts, Please ask those who have lived and experienced Xiefeng-style communism. They can answer you. Remember this. Communism is the only way to happiness for the toiling masses and the only way out for mankind. 分享一点非常重要的做人常识. Sharing of some very important common sense of life. Xiefeng. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. October 19th, 2020. If your life is stable but stressed, see if you lack common sense in these areas. If the greatest creator came to you but you failed to recognize him, then your life will reincarnate again and again. If gods, Buddhas, and celestials have come to see you but you have been unaware, then you have not yet awakened, and you can only keep on sleeping. If noble people occasionally appear in your life but you do not acknowledge them, then it will be difficult for your life to have a turning point and change, and your hardships are inevitable. Among the three factors that change one's destiny, personality is a very important one. This person may be a god, Buddha, celestial, or noble on the path of your life, and as long as you know any of them, your destiny will develop and change for the better. But I found that no one knows the greatest creator, and when gods, Buddhas, and celestials come around, people do not know them either. When noble people come near, few will pay attention to them. Therefore, most people are just living beings, rather than otherworldly saints. Some people can change the trajectories and destinies of their lives, but it is unfortunate if they keep missing their chances. 5 major turning points impacted my life. 4 were from noble people, and 1 was related to the greatest creator. Had I not recognized the greatest creator, this tour guide that you know would not have been born, and were it not for the 4 noble people's guidance and help, I would be an old farmer in my hometown today. Where are the noble people, the gods, Buddhas, and celestials, and where is the greatest creator? They are all in your life and at your side. Why can you not see them, and why are you not aware of their existences? This has something to do with your consciousness and soul, as well as your understanding and realm. From your consciousness point of view, you cannot tell the priority of your life or reverse it, and from your spiritual point of view, your heart is too selfish and your mind is dim and closed. If your understanding is poor, then the sound of water running down mountains is noise, and if your realm is not high, and you cannot see beyond material content. For example, if I am the noble one in your life, then have I ever appeared before you? And if I have, then did you pay attention to me? If you did not, then you will not get anything from me, let alone change the trajectory and destiny of your life. How can it be considered that you have paid attention to me? When I speak, you must first listen carefully and then express your gratitude to me. When I come to you, you must stop what you are doing, mute your mobile phone, isolate yourself from the outside world, and communicate with me seriously and intently. When I post articles in WeChat, circles of friends, you should offer likes and show that you have me in your heart. When I show you the way, you must have no doubts, but rather start then and there. Such can be considered your having paid attention. So what kind of words and deeds are considered as your not having paid attention? When I talk to you, do you steer clear of my crucial points, not focus on the subjects of our conversations, and stray to topics that have nothing to do with my subjects? Do you talk too much and listen too little? When I came to you, or when you came to me, were you too busy looking at your phone and chatting with someone else to communicate seriously with me? When I posted an article, did you never offer a like, and therefore prove that I am not important to your consciousness? Were you so busy expressing yourself that you never reacted to my point of view, and so on? What I am saying is that there must be someone whose cognition is higher than yours in any group. Just as in a banquet, there must be a guest of honor. Therefore, after entering any group, the first thing that you must do is to find a person whose cognitive ability is higher than yours. As long as they are there, then you should talk less and listen more to them. In this way, you will benefit. Since they might be a celestial, Buddha, or the noble person in your life, they might well change your miserable destiny. There are mountains beyond mountains, skies above skies, people beyond people, and great masters beyond masters. Do not express yourself too much. When confronted by people with higher cognitive abilities, always listen, do not argue or express yourself, because the more you do, the worse you will be, because within the scope of his or her cognition, those actions can only show your limitations. When you become complacent, they will have already abandoned you. In this way, you will have missed the gods, Buddhas, celestials, and noble people, and missed your opportunity to change your destiny. When one thinks that they are completely right, then there is no room or opportunity for them to sublimate anymore. Their sublimation will be over, and the gods, Buddha, celestials, and noble people will avoid them. All those who insist that they are right will distance themselves from gods, Buddhas, celestials, and noble ones, and auspicious lights will no longer shine on them because they will have already set their shape, and what they now are will definitely remain the same in the future. People have many opportunities to change their destinies throughout their lives, but most are not blessed to seize them. Gods, Buddhas, celestials, and nobles will appear once or many times in each person's life, but whether you can get to know, meet, and accept them depends on your own thoughts, words, and deeds. Of course, the core factor is your consciousness, state of mind, realm, and understanding. Remember, when you feel that you are right, are obsessed with it, and are arrogant about it, then you are finished. 信念和希望的神奇力量. The magical power of faith and hope. Xiefeng, March 21st, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. On September 9th, 2019, the World Health Organization reported that, on average, 800,000 people commit suicide globally every year. According to statistical analysis, the number of suicide attempts is 20 times that of completed suicides. Suicide is a result of losing faith and hope. The impact of suicide and suicide attempts on people is estimated at 4 individuals affected per person, resulting in 64 million people worldwide experiencing extreme suffering annually. If we add the suffering caused by diseases, conflicts, poverty, wars, and disasters, it's safe to say that, not exaggerating, 2 to 3 billion people live in pain every year. We cannot turn a blind eye to this. We must liberate people from suffering. The way to liberation is through faith and hope because faith and hope have a miraculous power. In a major earthquake in Los Angeles, 14 children were rescued 36 hours after the quake. The core factor behind their rescue was the faith and hope of one child and his father. The father once told his son, "No matter what happens, I will be with you." The son's faith and hope were, "My father will come to save me." This belief and hope infected the other 13 children, helping them survive the dangerous period of fear and despair and ultimately being rescued. On August 5, 2010, a collapse occurred at the San Jose copper mine in northern Chile. 33 miners were trapped 700 meters underground, and those above ground didn't know if they were alive or dead. The 33 miners managed to take refuge in a shelter, but their situation was dire. The shelter held only enough food for 2 to 3 days, yet they persisted for a full 17 days. They survived by consuming just 2 spoonfuls of canned fish per day per person. How did they manage to survive until they were finally rescued on the 69th day? The answer is faith and hope. In times of despair, as long as one holds onto faith and hope, there is a chance to transform danger into safety. In today's era, one of the best examples of maintaining faith and hope is the Chanyuan Celestials of Life Changyuan. A group of ordinary people, more than 100 in number, began living together in a communist model since 2009. Over the past 11 years, they have faced repeated hardships. They built 3 idyllic paradises in Yunnan province. Due to the government's lack of understanding, they were driven out of their homes, and their more than 20 million yuan in property went to waste. They then built a home in Nanjing, only to be evicted again by the government. Meanwhile, they created 3 homes in Xinjiang, only to be driven out again. Returning to Yunnan, they built 3 more homes, only to face hardship once more and be forced out. The group exhausted its funds, feeling that there was no place for them in the world. However, they overcame these difficulties and persisted until today. Several more homes have been rebuilt. Especially the 2 homes in Thailand received support from local temple abbots. The home building in Canada was delayed due to the pandemic but remained standing. Despite being in dire straits, we did not lose hope. We did not stop moving forward because our faith remained unshaken and our hope never turned into despair. We firmly believe that the greatest creator will not abandon us. We believe in the justice of the Tao. We believe that the government's lack of understanding is only temporary, and we believe that, as long as there are no unlawful or unruly acts, the government will one day understand and allow us to live according to the communist model. Additionally, Our profound understanding of countless secrets of the universe, time, space, and life has filled us with immense hope and confidence in the future. Without the support of faith and hope, Life Genuine would have long vanished. From the practical experience of Life Genuine New Oasis for Life, we have gained a profound understanding. As long as all of humanity embarks on the way of the greatest creator, the path of Life Genuine, and enter into the Xiefeng style, communist form production in life, the 800,000 people won't commit suicide every year, and the suffering of hundreds of millions of people will not only be alleviated, but may even disappear entirely. The entire human race should embrace one faith. Life Genuine can save humanity and rescue people from the sea of suffering. The entire human race should hold on to one hope. As long as Life Genuine exists, the beautiful life that humanity dreams of will undoubtedly come. 人生的效率、深度和广度 The efficiency, depth, and breadth of life. Xiefeng, July 16th, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Peter. Most people should be geniuses in a certain field, but most people are mediocre and find their goals to be unachievable throughout their lives. The reason is that they are forced by life and cannot engage in the work they like, and their entire lives are consumed in their trivial daily affairs. We analyzed housewives statistically. Few housewives have achieved success in their careers because they are submerged in daily trivial housework. We asked an elderly woman, "What have you done in your life?" She could hardly list any examples that she can be proud of. In fact, she has a lot of work to do every day: cooking, washing, taking children out, purchasing, cleaning, and visiting relatives and friends. Countless daily tasks almost dragged her down, and in the end, she found that she had accomplished nothing in her life. Of course, I do not advocate that all people become the best, glorify and illuminate their ancestors, and be successful, much less advocate that all people be extraordinary and live their whole life gloriously. I just want people to live a life that is a little more comfortable, cool, relaxed, and free. Then, how to achieve this wish? Do only one thing in your life. This is a truth that I have recently realized. In the past 10 years or so, I have spent my life being a guide for Life Genuine and have not done anything else. Thus, I have finished writing articles comprised of millions of words and created more than a dozen picturesque human homes based on the new life model. But in the last 2 or 3 months, I have done so many tasks which are too miscellaneous that I have hardly anything to show for it. Every day, I get up at 5 o'clock, browse the internet for half an hour, and quickly wash and prepare breakfast for the guests. Even if there are only 2 guests, it takes me at least 2.5 hours from preparation to completion. During these 2.5 hours, I must do at least 20 things or more. After the guests have left, I clean up the room. From cleaning the toilet and bathroom sink, wiping tables and chairs, changing the sheets, pillowcases, and 3 sets of large, medium, and small towels, until cleaning the carpet, there are more than 10 things to do. In addition, it takes an average of more than 2 hours a day to clean up the yard. It is not easy to mow the lawn of 10 acres of land neatly and beautifully. I also need to answer the phone at any time to answer questions from the guests, and to take garbage to the dump more than 10 kilometers away from time to time, to go to over 30 kilometers away to make purchases, to keep the restaurant clean and tidy at all times, to keep records of the income and expenditures at any time for the preparation of the quarterly accounting and tax payment, to pay the fees every month: internet fees, TV fees, mobile phone number fees, medical care insurance premiums, gas bills, electricity bills, etc. In addition to these daily tasks, I must deal with unexpected occurrences anytime and anywhere. I am thinking that if I spend my whole life like this, even if I am a genius in a certain field, my talent will be buried in endless tedious affairs. Doing a lot of various kinds of work can broaden the breadth of life, but you will never reach the depth, height of life, and there will be no efficiency. Always doing one thing will be the most efficient. The more complicated and varied the things you do, the lower the efficiency. Last year, I planned that any way possible, this year I will go away once, at least to visit Prince George City, which is more than 300 kilometers away. As a result of my daily tasks, I haven't been able to achieve this goal till now. I am tightly bound to the same place and cannot leave for a while. A donkey has a blindfold over its eyes to let it grind grain. It goes around and around the millstone and will go around in circles in the same place for a lifetime. In fact, most people live in the same way as donkeys do. The donkey has to revolve around the millstone. Whether the donkey pulls the grindstone, makes the circle or not, it is not up to it. What about people? Compelled by environment and the pressures of life, people have to repeat the same work every day. All this is involuntarily, and they have no choice. Who can say that I do what I like the most every day? To make life a little more comfortable, chic, relaxed, and free, we must only do one thing in our lives so that we can reach the depth of life. A drilling rig can only drill tens of meters at a time if it infrequently changes the drilling location. To drill to 1,000 meters or 10,000 meters, you must drill in the same hole. Only by concentrating on one goal can it be thus. Rubbing ropes against wooden boards will cut into them, and dripping water onto stones will wear them down. If we work 8 hours a day to make $100, can we make $100 in just 2 hours? I think it is possible. The way to do this is to do only one thing. The more complicated the things we do, the less money we can make. Only by doing one thing can we be relaxed and comfortable. In this way, can we have a good mood and free time to dabble in a broader field in order to expand the breadth of life. The problem is, who can do only one thing in a lifetime? If we still pursue the efficiency, depth, and breadth of life in accordance with the traditional production and life mode, for most people, it is just a beautiful and unrealistic fantasy. There is only one way to reach the goals. That is to live in the life mode of New Oasis for Life created by Life Genuine. That is the best place to realize your ideal of life. 自由之路, The Road to Freedom. Xiefeng. November 10th, 2022. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Peter. The highest realm pursued by human beings is to obtain physical and mental freedom. Not being physically and mentally free is like being in prison. Why do people want to make more money? Its core purpose is to gain greater freedom. Why do people have to study hard? Its ultimate purpose is to gain more physical and mental freedom. Everyone who has worked hard all his life is fighting for his own physical and mental freedom. The question is, have they achieved physical and mental freedom throughout their life? None. Can you go where you want to, associate with the opposite sex when you want to, say whatever you want to? Who has achieved it? No one. The presidents cannot, billionaires cannot, experts, scholars, and professors, followers of any religion, none of them can, not to mention the general public. What is the problem? Why has not a single person achieved physical and mental freedom in their entire life for thousands of years? There are 8 factors that prevent people from obtaining physical and mental freedom, namely, country, money, marriage, family, kinship, government, debt, and ego. As long as there are countries in this world, no one can be free. As long as there is money in this world, no one can be free. As long as you enter marriage, the special relationship between both sexes, don't expect to be free again. As long as you revolve around family, the most basic production relationship in society, you will never expect to be free for the rest of your life. As long as you have parents, children, siblings, and other relationships, you will not have freedom of mind and body. As long as there is a government that controls you at all times, no one can be free. As long as you owe debts of gratitude and financial debts, don't even think about gaining physical and mental freedom. As long as you are stubborn and always think you are right, you will not achieve freedom. Isn't this making people feel hopeless, desperate, and miserable? Think about it this way, no matter how hard we try, no one can reach the highest realm of physical and mental freedom. Why do the vast majority of people go to some kind of religious belief? When people cannot get physical and mental freedom in reality, they can only seek spiritual comfort in religion, to anesthetize their fragile and sad nerves, and to live a miserable and helpless life in hope. In terms of conventional thinking, there is no possibility that the country, money, marriage, family, kinship, government, debt, and ego will disappear from the world. No one in their right mind can accept the disappearance of these 8 factors, even emotionally. However, it is precisely because people are too rational and pay too much attention to affections that no one has achieved true physical and mental freedom for tens of thousands of years. People cannot imagine how they would live if these 8 factors disappeared. For example, if there is no country, who will protect my safety? What's the point of having a life without parents and children? Who will be responsible for the normal operation of society without the government? Without money, what can I use to exchange for the goods I need with others? And so on. It's hard to imagine how human society would operate and develop in an orderly manner without these 8 factors, and 10,000 what to dose will come to mind. Nothing is ever impossible which not yet been realized or transformed by thinking. On my way to make people completely gain physical and mental freedom, I entered 20 worlds in the realm of time and space that are superimposed, intersected, have clear boundaries that are interconnected, and found that there are no factors such as country, money, marriage, family, and kinship in the thousand-year world, which is the closest to human life. But the people who live there have a beautiful life with complete freedom of body and mind. I wondered if I could copy the life mode of the thousand-year world to the human world. So I created a brand new production and life mode which is completely different from the traditional life mode. I call it the second home. This second home life mode has been going on for 13 years since April 2009, and 95% of those who have lived this way have been happy with this way of life. It turns out that, even if factors such as country, marriage, and family disappear, human beings can live a lifetime in the highest realm of life with freedom of body and mind. Can the partial success prove that the second home model works in the world? In theory, it totally works. In practice, it needs to be confirmed experimentally. I have lived in Asia for decades, Africa for more than 10 years, America for more than 5 years, and a few months with the indigenous tribes of Australia. In the recent 5 years, I have been in close contact with more than 2,000 people from Europe and have had superficial exchanges with most of them. I have also had deep contacts and exchanges with the Kanahana family in Japan. I have visited 2 communities in Canada as well and have conducted in-depth exchanges with them. My feeling is that the new life of human beings, the second home mode, works all over the world. What I am convinced of is that if human beings are not eliminated by nature, the future production and life mode of human beings will be the second home model. This is the only way for everyone to obtain physical and mental freedom. The conclusion is that the new mode of life for mankind, the second home, is the road to freedom. 我想与你聊聊天. I want to have a chat with you. Xiefeng, June 3rd, 2017. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Peter. Knowing and understanding ourselves is one of the guarantees for a happy life. If we do not know ourselves or understand ourselves, we will inevitably have a series of troubles and pains in our lives. And we will attribute these troubles and pains to the outside world and others, instead of ourselves. A king or a beggar, who is freer and happier? The answer is, whoever knows and understands himself is happier. When a person vents grievances, it is from a lack of knowledge and understanding of himself. When a person blames others, it is from a lack of knowledge and understanding of himself. When a person feels his talents are unrecognized, it is from a lack of knowledge and understanding of himself. The world is still the same. The world is faultless. All faults lie within ourselves. If a person is revered and respected by others, that's because he is valuable to people. When he loses his value, no one will revere and respect him. This is not only a cruel reality, but also the law of justice in the world. Therefore, if we want to always get people's reverence and respect, we must maintain our own value. When we have no value to people, we must be ready to bear the indifference and cruelty of the world to us and bear the boundless isolation and loneliness in our hearts. People all live in circles. Some circles are small, and some are large. This is like a WeChat group. A dozen or hundreds of thousands of people is a circle, and 2 people is also a circle. If you want to be respected in a circle, you must have equivalent value to the circle, otherwise, either you will abandon this circle or you will be abandoned by this circle. For example, there are 3 people in a circle. Zhang San has a carrot, Li Si has a banana, and Wang Wu has a cucumber. Then, the people in this circle are basically equal. This circle is relatively harmonious and warm, and their friendship will also be lasting. If Zhang San has carrots, Li Si has bananas, and Wang Wu has nothing, then Zhang San and Li Si will not respect Wang Wu and will abandon Wang Wu. Even circles of the same nature, such as business circles, have obvious levels. Millionaires are in the million-dollar circle. You cannot enter the multimillionaire circle. Multimillionaires are all in the multimillionaire circle. You cannot get into the circle of billionaires. This is called birds of a feather flock together. To people, living is a cruel battle. No one lives easily. Whoever wants to achieve a happy and ideal life without a cruel struggle must be dreaming. If you have never worked hard but lived well, it proves that someone is supporting you. Once you lose the person supporting you, you will enter a state of misery. In order to avoid entering a state of misery, you must always struggle. Never be careless and live in a muddle-headed way. Do not think about enjoyment, but about giving and dedication. Only in this way can you hope to get the happy life you yearn for. Do what you can do. Do not expect to do what you cannot do. If you cannot do well at what you can do, there is no doubt that you won't do well at the things you expect to do. Ask yourself often, what have I done well? What have I done that I can be proud of? Do not dislike the trivial and simple things. A person's talents and great qualities are reflected in the simplest and smallest things. If you do small things well, you can do medium things. If you do medium things well, you can do big things. And if you do not even do small things well, can you do medium and big things? Even ghosts won't believe this. Be proactive, not passive. As a child, do not always hope that your parents will arrange everything for you. As a student, do not always hope that the teacher will arrange everything for you. As a disciple, do not always hope that your master will arrange everything for you. As a subordinate, do not always hope that your superiors will arrange everything for you. As a citizen, do not always hope that the president and the central government will arrange everything for you. If we do not give full play of our intelligence and wisdom now, we will never receive support and promotion from nobles. We will lose the steps to promotion forever, and we will never release our inner energy to liberate ourselves or change our bad fate. 超越时空，活在未来. Transcending time and space by living in the future. Xiefeng, June 16th, 2018. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Peter. Man is life. Life is a non-material structure with spirituality. The core component of life is consciousness. For consciousness, there is no question of reality and illusion, no question of time and space, and no question of past and future. Reality and illusion, time and space, are a problem that stubbornly exist in human perception. For life itself, these problems do not exist. The essence of life is perception and experience. Without perception and experience, there is no life. In other words, life without perception and experience does not exist. As far as perception and experience are concerned, there is no difference between dreams and reality. There is no difference between playing games online and directly participating in games. There is no difference between virtual and real situations. There is no difference between a face-to-face chat and a dream chat. There is no difference between recalling the past and looking forward to the future. And there is no difference between concrete practice and imaginative practice. For example, in the illusory scene of dreams, what we perceive and experience in dreams is the same as what we perceive and experience in reality. So long as it is perception and experience, for life itself, there is no problem with the illusion of reality, no problem of past, present, and future. Human cognition can never go beyond reality, time, and space. This is the limitation of human cognition. This limitation restricts our thinking to four-dimensional time and space, so that we cannot break through the shackles of reality, time, and space. The sayings and viewpoints of living in the present are the most typical examples of cognition and thinking fettered by reality, time, and space. In other words, the cognition and understanding of living in the present is purely human thinking. It is not the cognition and thinking of lives higher than human beings. Now, let's discuss the feasibility of transcending time and space from human cognition. What has happened is called the past or history. What is happening is called the present or now. What is going to happen is called the future or the time to come. Now let's make a choice. Would you like to live in the past, in the present, or in the future? For those who have had a good past, they want to live in the past, but also look forward to the future. For people who have had a painful past, they do not want to live in the past. So, how many people are willing to live in the present? Except for those who are enjoying life at this moment, Most people are willing to live in the future because the future has not yet happened, and they can look forward to a happy situation. The main point of this article is that now is the most difficult time for life. Food, clothing, shelter, transportation, birth, aging, sickness, and death have brought enough worry to people. Electricity bills, water fees, internet fees, gas fees, fuel fees, transportation fees, vehicle, house, etc. repair costs, house rent, and land tax have given people enough to be anxious about. The giving of presents between people is annoying enough. Personal safety is also worrisome, and the natural disasters and causal disasters that occur anytime and anywhere are heartrending. Therefore, living in this moment is the most troublesome and painful experience. Since life lies in perception and experience, it is wise to consciously avoid and escape the current situation of confusion and sorrow. There is a sad reality that we have to face. Nearly 1 million people commit suicide every year around the world. Millions of people attempt suicide. Hundreds of millions of people have thought of suicide. Why do they commit suicide? Because the present is too bitter, there is no hope, no turning point, no bright future, so they just choose to commit suicide. This is the life tragedy of those who live in the moment. Now let's envision that if a person in such current distress knows that he will receive 1 million yuan tomorrow, or will encounter a noble person who will bring himself out of a real tragic situation, or the world will be reversed and his sorrow will end soon, or he gets to know in a few years that he will turn the situation around and become successful, or knows that he will enjoy a wonderful life in the endless heaven in the future. Then, will he commit suicide? Of course not. Not only will he not commit suicide, but he will live happily every day. This means that letting the consciousness live in the future makes life better than living in the present. Therefore, allow yourself to live in the future and imagine that in the future you can live in the new oasis for life created by Life Genuine. Imagine that you are living in the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, the celestial islands continent. In this way, your current misery will be alleviated. No matter how hard or difficult it is, you will survive it. Your current troubles and pains will disappear into smoke and clouds, and all worries and fears will be just illusions in front of you. Hence, you will feel that every day is interesting to live, just like playing games, and even if death comes, you will be fearless and even accept it with joy. This is the way to transcend time and space. We must know that the future is created by visualized thinking. The essence of life is perception and experience. In this case, living in a beautiful future is more meaningful and valuable than living in the present. One of the mysteries of life is that perception and experience determine the taste and state of life. That being the case, why bother letting the consciousness experience a miserable moment? Why not let the consciousness experience a bright future? Anyway, consciousness does not distinguish between reality and illusion. Everything we experience is the essential attribute of life. 絮叨人生, a ramble about life. Xiefeng, May 23rd, 2018. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Peter. Rambling is chatting. Chatting can be endless, free from rules and regulations, letting one's thoughts float in the wind, aimlessly like mature dandelion seeds. Everyone encounters two doors every day. One door leads to heaven and the other leads to hell. Whether you go to heaven or to hell depends entirely on how you treat people and things. If you treat them right, your path ahead will be bright and full of flowers. And if you treat them wrong, your path ahead will be full of mud, and you can only trudge along. Every day in life, we are taking exams. What we should do and how to do it is the exam. The examiner is the greatest creator. Our ultimate destination is decided by the accumulated daily exam results. With excellent results, there is no doubt we will go to heaven. With poor results, there is no doubt we will go to hell. Every day in life, we can have the good fortune of meeting angels. In everyday life, we always deal with people. Even the person we meet in the WeChat group might be an angel. If we treat angels kindly and sincerely, our lives might turn around and we may get to know the secrets of life. If we treat angels badly, we may miss a good connection and a good future. Everyone's outcome is an accumulation of his lifetime's thoughts and behavior. Do not take the chance and think that if you hurt a person or life you will not be punished. It is impossible. Punishment is bound to come. Even if we once ridiculed someone, even if we once gave someone a contemptuous look, even if we once humiliated someone with vulgar language, punishment would inevitably come. Some punishments are obvious, but most of the punishments are without a trace. It just happens without our noticing of it. For example, we should have eaten ginseng fruit, but in fact we got sour plums. We should have done something smoothly, but in fact we encountered obstacles and resistance. To analyze and judge a phenomenon, three basic factors need to be considered. One is affection, one is reason, and one is nature. Some phenomena conform to affection but not reason and nature. Some phenomena conform to reason but not affection and nature. And some phenomena conform to nature but not affection and reason. Some unreasonable phenomena are in line with affection and nature. Some ruthless phenomena are in line with reason and nature, and some phenomena that are neither in line with reason nor affection but are in line with nature. Therefore, it is best not to judge any phenomenon in life. It is easy to misjudge and cause harm, unless we take everything into consideration that are the three factors: affection, reason, and nature. Last year, I went to Vanuatu, the Pacific Island country, and chatted with Mr. Stephen, the person in charge of Eden of the East. He said that people should be vegetarian instead of meat eaters. I asked, "Can't we eat pork?" He said we shouldn't. I said that everything has its value of existence. So what is the value of existence of pigs? He told me a lot and it made sense, but I explained my understanding to him. I said that balance is a law of the universe. This law conforms to the law that the sum of positive and negative energies is zero. Its basic principle is that it rises here but falls there. It increases here but decreases there. It gains here but loses there. And it strengthens here but weakens there. For example, if a person's words hurt many people, the balance of it will be that he can no longer talk. If a person takes advantage of the world, he will definitely be balanced by paying the price for this. If a person owes someone a debt, it will be balanced by his repaying the debt. If a person cruelly killed another life, it will definitely be balanced by the giving of his own life. In this sense, a pig must be the reincarnation of a certain person as a result of his words bringing too much hurt to others. He took too much advantage of others, he owed too much debt, and cruelly killed a certain life. Only by reincarnating as a pig and paying with his own hair, bones, blood, flesh, and life can he balance the debts he owed in his previous life. In this sense, eating meat is a kind of benevolence, and not eating meat is cruel. Why do I say so? When a person owes a debt, he will be reincarnated as a pig to repay. If you do not eat his meat, that means that he is not allowed to repay his debts, and he has to continue to carry his debts and reincarnate again and again in the livestock world. This is a bit cruel. But if you eat his meat, it lets him repay his debts and leave behind his reincarnation in the pig world and return to the human world as a human being. Isn't it a good deed? There are endless truths that people need to learn and understand in their lives. There is a deep understanding that I want to share with everyone. This is to never hurt anyone in your life. Do not hurt with words, nor with deeds, eyes, mouth, hands, feet, or thoughts. Even if others hurt you, you must never deal with a man as he deals with you. Just say good words, as many as you like, and never say anything bad. Once you do, it will become sin, and it will be too late to remedy. Fish are in the water, people are in the Tao, and the operation and changes of all phenomena and things in the world are in the Tao, and there are no people or things that should be wronged. Feeling being wronged is because of your not understanding cause and effect. If you understand the law of cause and effect, you will know that everything is appropriate. It is really divine punishments, though slow, are always sure, with big meshes yet letting nothing slip through. Therefore, if others hurt you, they will be handed over to the Tao's handling and arrangement. We ourselves will never hurt people, will never hurt anyone. 人类最佳出路，改变传统的生产和生活模式. The best way forward for mankind, changing the traditional production and life mode. Xiefeng, February 1st, 2023. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Peter. With the development of human beings today, there are many chronic diseases that cannot be cured by the traditional production and life mode. More than 7 billion people are living on the earth and consume a large amount of resources every day, and consumption has exceeded the regeneration capacity of the earth. Rapid advances in science and technology can develop new types of energy and save resources, but ultimately, it is a drop in the bucket and cannot solve the crisis that we are facing. The chronic diseases of the entire human society are as follows. Resource consumption exceeds regeneration capacity. Everyone is a consumer of resources, not a creator of resources. In the long run, the depletion of resources is an inevitable reality, and this problem cannot be solved by relying on the traditional production and life mode. The waste of resources. A large part of what people use in food, clothing, housing, transportation, birth, old age, sickness, and death today is extravagant and unnecessary. This problem cannot be solved by legal and moral teachings. It can only be solved by changing the traditional production and life mode. Official corruption and a slothful government. There are always contradictions between officials and the people. This problem has not been resolved for thousands of years. The problem is that the traditional production and life mode are fertile soil for corruption. If the traditional production and life mode do not change, the corruption of officials and government sloth cannot be eliminated. Conflicts between ethnic groups and between countries. The competition and conflicts between different ethnic groups and nations which are caused by resource competition and ideological differences have never been resolved in history. If these conflicts cannot be resolved, huge military expenditures will not be reduced, and wars will be inevitable. The huge damage that this causes to society cannot be avoided. The only measure to solve this chronic disease lies in changing the traditional production and life mode of human beings. The gap between the rich and the poor. Due to everyone's different talents and the efforts that different people make, it is natural and normal for people to have a wealth gap between them. However, if the gap between rich and poor becomes too large, conflicts will form. The most effective way to alleviate this conflict is not legal and moral teaching, not to mention administrative orders and taxation, but to change the traditional mode of production and life. The magic of money. With money as a medium of exchange, its value and function cannot be questioned and underestimated. However, when people regard the pursuit of money as the primary motivation and purpose of survival in life, social turmoil and personal troubles and pains will be the result. How can the magic of money be eliminated? Only by changing the traditional mode of production and life. The loss of integrity. The more there are people, the fewer the resources, the more intense the competition will be, and the lower the integrity of people will be. With the loss of integrity, the cost of communication between people, countries, and special interest groups will increase infinitely. This is not only detrimental to the welfare of all the people, but also detrimental to resource conservation and social stability. How can this problem be solved? Legal and moral constraints cannot play a major role, so it can only be solved by changing the traditional mode of production and life. The disadvantages of government planning and a market economy. Facts have proved that the government's plan will take care of one thing and overlook another will lead to the impoverishment of the people. The market economy is like the law of the jungle, which will lead to the weak becoming the prey to the strong, which is not the ideal state of human life. I have thought about many options of how to make the world favorable and harmonious, and for the people to live and work in peace and contentment. Finally, it has been found that the best plan is to replace the traditional way of production and life with the new way of production and life. So, what kind of mode is the new human production and life mode? In a word, it is a full replication and copy of the production and life mode of the thousand-year world of the kingdom of heaven. The model of this new mode of production and life on earth is the production and life mode of the second home created by Life Genuine. A brief summary of this new mode is: human beings will no longer enter the institution of marriage and family, but enter the program of the second home. Countries will disintegrate. There will be global cooperation and resource sharing. The scale of population growth will become lower than the regeneration capacity of the Earth's resources, and people will flow around the world designedly, allowing everyone to reach the state of life in the kingdom of heaven where everyone owns nothing yet owns everything. This is not a dream, but a summary of the successful experience that has been practiced on the Earth for 15 years. May every citizen of the Earth get to know, think, and practice it. 人类最高级文明内涵 The connotation of the highest level of human civilization. Dayform Buddha. May 2, 2023. Edited by Peter. When human civilization enters the most advanced stage, there will be no laws, no countries, no currency, no marriage and family, and no forms of identification such as ID cards, passports, driver's licenses, work permits, medical licenses, judge certification, professor certification, and so on, and there will be no various types of business licenses. Readers may think that this is impossible. Without laws, without countries, without any identification, the whole human society will become chaotic. For example, if there are no driver's licenses, people who don't understand traffic rules will also drive on the road and will inevitably cause traffic accidents. I want to say that we cannot imagine the form and operating mode of the highest level of human civilization society with the current consciousness and living environment of people, but we can imagine that when everyone is selfless and exudes the nature of truth, goodness, beauty, love, sincerity, and trust from within, all the disputes in the world will be melted away. The unskilled driver will not drive on the road because he loves others more than he loves himself. Perhaps some readers may think that people cannot completely achieve unselfishness and selflessness, but in fact, when the traditional production and life mode of society will be replaced by the second home mode, people will find that the more unselfish and selfless they are, the more they will enjoy the joy and beauty of life and life to the greatest extent. We have proven this through 14 years of this production and life mode in practice. Without countries, laws, and marriage and family, will everything become chaotic? No. When we emulate the thousand-year world mode, we will find that the higher the degree of freedom, the more civilized people will become. The more restrictions and constraints, the more people's selfishness, greed, and opportunism will be stimulated. Moreover, when tens of millions of second homes are born on the earth, people will choose to enter these homes to live in, and all the homes will operate according to universal values and the way of nature. All people on earth will become members of this big family of homes, and no matter what they do, whether it is power generation, farming, clothing production, education of children, shepherding on the grassland, or technological innovation in the laboratory, people from all walks of life will become members of the Earth family. Without currency and private property, everyone will freely use their intelligence and talents, and all the issues of food, clothing, housing, transportation, aging, and death will be resolved by this big family. No one would want to keep currency or have private property. Each second home has 30 to 300 members, and each member rotates to work and live in another home for 3 years. When people around the world start to flow freely, there will be no more national, party, religious, or cultural barriers, and any turmoil and war will no longer occur. Hunger will also disappear, and the probability of theft, robbery, corruption, fraud, and deception will become negligible. I am very sure that everyone must have 100,000 questions in their hearts about this, but I can tell you that I have thought of all the problems you are worried about, and I know the solutions. I can also tell you accurately that no one's thinking in the world today is deeper than mine, and no one's solution to solving problems is superior to mine. Even if the Eastern saint that everyone is looking forward to comes, it will not surpass my theory and practice. Humanity has only one bright future ahead, which is to follow what I say, because no matter how intelligent a person may be, they cannot escape the 36-8 diagram arrays. Only by following the path I guide you on can we have the most wonderful future. 与自己同行的人造就了人生的悲欢离合. The people who accompany us on our journey shape the joys and sorrows of our lives. Xiefeng, June 1st, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. People realize and understand as they grow older that the individuals that they journey with shape the joys and sorrows, separations and reunions of their life. They contribute to the ups and downs, the completeness and deficiencies of one's existence. During childhood, parents are the ones who bring both happiness and sadness, separations and reunions, completeness and deficiencies. Having loving and understanding parents is a blessing in life. However, if parents treat their child as a means to uphold family honor or as a target for venting frustrations from outside, it becomes a source of sorrow in life. During adolescence, the most influential people to walk alongside are teachers. Their words, actions, and evaluations lay the foundation for one's character and outlook on life. Wise and caring teachers pave the way for a hopeful and bright future, while narrow-minded and bitter teachers fill the sky of one's life with clouds, lacking warmth and sunshine. Young adulthood is a vibrant period for expanding one's social boundaries, and making friends is inevitable. Typically, people form 2 or 3 close friendships, and it is precisely these close friends that bring about significant turning points in one's life. Genuine and open-minded close friends, filled with the confidence and courage to strive and excel, will inspire oneself, leading to a passionate and hopeful outlook on life. On the other hand, if a close friend is selfish, deceitful, and harbors a dark mentality, one will also be drawn into a chaotic and disorderly path that goes against morality and even legality. In middle age, the most important companion in life is a spouse. If one is fortunate to meet a considerate, capable, and affectionate partner who excels at managing household affairs, it is a great blessing. Conversely, encountering an unreasonable, selfish, and greedy spouse who lacks understanding and often voices complaints creates a life filled with bottomless sorrow and misery. In such circumstances, whether it is the husband or the wife, thoughts of suicide often emerge in their minds. The inner pain has nowhere to be expressed, and they can only silently endure day after day, year after year. In old age, as physical strength gradually wanes and illnesses silently afflict the body, confidence in life diminishes. People around us unconsciously begin to drift away. At this time, the attitudes and treatment received from our children become the final scenery on the journey of life. If children are filial, it is a stroke of great fortune, bestowing immense blessings and great destiny. However, if children are unfilial, physical and mental suffering seeps into our marrow and nerves. Ultimately, the journey of life concludes in a state of calling to the heavens without response and crying to the earth without answer. Whether it is during adolescence, young adulthood, middle age, or old age, if one encounters someone who cares genuinely, bringing happiness, joy, freedom, blessedness, and hope without expecting anything in return, that person is truly a saint, a bodhisattva, an angel. That must be you have burned some high incense in your past life, and blessings poured forth from your ancestral graves. Cherish this extraordinary affinity. If one is fortunate to encounter a group of individuals who selflessly give and contribute without making excessive demands, it is a tremendous blessing and the greatest care and blessing from heaven. It is worth treasuring for a lifetime. 失业大学生们的锦绣之路 The Splendid Path of Unemployed College Students. Xiefeng. April 25, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. Happiness. Misery lurks beneath it. Misery. Happiness is to be found by its side. What I see is a bright future awaiting unemployed college students, a wonderful life that is incomparable. This is what I think, and I hope respected and dear unemployed college students can consider whether it makes sense. At this moment, you may be in a state of confusion, anxiety, uncertainty, restlessness, and disappointment. This is because you are carried along by the tides of the times. If you try to catch up with the tide or let others determine your fate, you will find yourselves in a sea of suffering. Not to mention reaching the other shore, you won't even be able to see where it is. First of all, you should understand that it is not your fault, nor your parents' fault, nor the fault of your school teachers and professors that you are unable to find a job. It is the fault of the times. Just like the blooming flowers wither in the spring, it is not the fault of the flowers, but the result of a cold spell. You may be inspired by another form of success studies, such as how to make a comeback, how to escape from the lower class, how to cross social barriers, and so on. I want to say that such motivation will only make your situation more difficult and miserable. Don't aspire to be superior to others, don't aim to live a life that others envy, don't expect to achieve financial freedom quickly, and don't anticipate starting your own business. These thoughts and actions are poison to life and will make everyone's existence even more unbearable. In front of you lies a life adorned with beautiful flowers. Endless is the sea of bitterness. Repent and you will find the shore. How do you repent? How do you reach the paradise-like shore of life? Once your roots establish yourself, the way will grow therefrom, and the way will guide you. Only seek to serve more people without desiring to earn more money. Reduce your material desires to the minimum. Live in a thatched hut, wear patched clothes, eat simple food, drink plain water. Refuse all luxury goods. If necessary, you can beg. Regard yourself as the most ordinary blade of grass in nature. Don't pursue romantic relationships, don't get married, don't start a family. Concentrate your efforts on establishing a foundation, inheriting the wisdom of the past, creating everlasting peace. Listen to the teachings of Jesus Christ, respect the Dharma of Shakyamuni Buddha, embrace the spirit of the Prophet Muhammad, and adopt the thoughts of the Taoist Saint Laozi. Regardless of how dark the world becomes, how fickle people's hearts are, how bleak the future appears, and how others may comment, dedicate yourself to unifying the world and ensuring the well-being of all people, allowing everyone to enjoy the blessings of life. Strive to make everyone possess everything while having nothing, and work hard to provide everyone with a means of livelihood. Regard labor as the foremost necessity of life. Adhere to this principle. The image of laborers is the most beautiful. Labor is the source of joy and happiness. Laborers possess the finest qualities. Engage in diligent work every day, create, and never allow yourself to be idle. Abandon laziness. Abandon getting something for nothing. Abandon seeking comfort and despising hard work, and abandon seeking quick gains. Sing the praises of all laborers in the world. Embrace unconventional thinking and indulge in wild imagination. Reversion is the action of the Tao. When the majority moves west, quickly move east. When the majority flock to the cities, quickly go to the countryside. When the majority prioritizes pragmatism, quickly prioritizes ideology. Whatever the majority criticize, quickly sing its praises, and vice versa. Distance yourself from money, power, fame, and profit, including distancing yourself from the wealthy, influential, famous, and powerful. Get closer to the most ordinary and common laboring masses. Reverse all the perspectives on life, values, worldview, outlook on life, and moral outlook that human society has established, and establish anew the 5 outlooks necessary for the highest level of civilized society. Then, you will discover the scenery of just as the weary traveler despairs of finding a road, lo, a village appears and the shade of willows and riotous flowers beckon. The path has been paved for you, and the future is definitely more beautiful than you imagine. If you find my words reasonable, follow the path I have laid out. If you think I am talking nonsense and misleading you, then continue the path you believe to be correct. 性的神力和魔力, The Power and Magic of Sex. Xiefeng, March 31st, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. In the Bloodstream Sermon, Patriarch Bodhidharma said, "Nature, same as sex in Chinese, is Buddha. What propels society forward is sex. The universe is a dance of sex. The fulfillment of sex is the fulfillment of life and the fulfillment of the universe. In order for a person to become immortal, achieve enlightenment, and become divine, they must attain the fulfillment of sex. From the principle of Taiji, every life is polarized, either masculine or feminine. Only when the masculine and feminine unite can life become complete. The power of sex is immensely strong. It is impossible to transcend sex. It is self-deception. Sex possesses divine power and demonic power, which humans cannot control. Forcing control over sex will distort it and lead to sexual deviance. When sex is liberated, the world becomes peaceful, people become harmonious, and society becomes balanced and stable. Therefore, sexual freedom is both fundamental and ultimate freedom. Without sexual freedom, there is no personal freedom, no fairness or justice in society, and no possibility for individuals to become immortal, achieve enlightenment, or become divine. Thus, sex should bloom freely like wildflowers in the mountains and flow freely like rivers. Sex is amoral. Therefore, moral standards should not be imposed upon it. The following conclusions are derived from an insightful perspective on sex. They may be shocking, but I hope readers will not reject them based on outdated beliefs and moral standards. To determine their correctness, rational analysis and judgment should be employed. Respecting facts, examining them with a scientific spirit and logical abilities, And avoiding emotional reactions is crucial, as becoming emotional renders one unable to reason. The conclusion is as follows. Regarding anyone's sexual life and behavior, no matter how strange, bizarre, even absurd, or how promiscuous, licentious, immoral, or even deviant it may seem, as long as it does not harm others or society, as long as it is not forced and is willingly embraced by those involved, it should be tolerated and should not be condemned or even criminalized. For example, sexual intercourse between humans and animals, between a father and daughter, mother and son, grandparents and grandchildren, son-in-law and mother-in-law, and so on. For example, the fickleness of women and their involvement in multiple sexual relationships, the promiscuity of men and their involvement in multiple sexual relationships, and instances of infidelity within marriages, and so on. The myriad of unconventional sexual activities and patterns should be understood. Human society does not need to astonish or insult these individuals, nor should it hold them hostage to morality. I solemnly declare that I do not endorse the aforementioned sexual behaviors, but I can understand them. Those who have a full stomach have no idea how it feels to be hungry. The wealthy cannot truly experience the hardships and helplessness of the poor. Those with a full stomach cannot set standards for those who are hungry, and the wealthy cannot dictate norms for the poor. This is similar to how lions and tigers cannot establish behavioral guidelines for zebras and gazelles, and wolves cannot set boundaries for sheep. When the powerful drive of sex erupts, the best approach is to satisfy sexual desires. When satisfaction cannot be achieved, people will seek various ways to fulfill their intense sexual cravings. People do not desire to engage in sexual intercourse with animals. However, if conditions for sexual intimacy with humans are not present, they may resort to releasing sexual energy through intercourse with animals. If even that condition is unavailable, individuals may engage in sexual relations with their own daughters, sons, grandsons, granddaughters, uncles, aunts, mothers-in-law, nephews, nieces, and so on. As for infidelity or sexual relationships between masters and disciples, teachers and students, these are already considered quite normal phenomena. In the world of women, sex workers are a group of extraordinary women because they provide countless men with sexual fusion and satisfaction. They are considered great because they adhere to the principle that the higher the degree of shared experience, the greater the value. Therefore, it can be logically deduced that women who engage in sexual relationships with more men and men who engage in sexual relationships with more women should be affirmed and should not be subjected to condemnation or persecution. Human beings should prioritize reality. Once individuals reach maturity, they enter a stage of sexual needs. Maximizing the acquisition of sexual energy not only leads to happy and fulfilling lives for each person, but also promotes a harmonious and stable society that progresses toward civilization. The prerequisite for human civilization is sexual freedom. Without sexual freedom, human civilization cannot be achieved. Sex is a form of energy and a resource that is inexhaustible. However, when individuals monopolize sexual resources, the resource becomes particularly scarce. Once it becomes scarce, it is inevitable that animal mating and incestuous behavior cannot be eradicated, and the trading of sex cannot be avoided, which leads to troubles, anxieties, pains, and even crimes. Of course, the more sexual partners one has and the higher the frequency, the higher the risk of contracting sexually transmitted diseases, including HIV/AIDS. This negative consequence can be addressed through a program, such as requiring sexual health certificates for sexually mature individuals. This is achievable. However, it is not appropriate to abstain from sexual activities solely because there is a risk of contracting sexually transmitted diseases, just as one does not stop eating because eating can cause various illnesses. Life is like a dream. All space directions are void. We should have full experiences and live our life to the most so that we won't have regrets when we leave the earth. Being satisfied and dying blissfully is better than being consumed by worries and regrets. 一求64智论人类生存模式. One Earth, 64 Systems. On the Mode of Human Survival. Xiefeng. April 13th, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. Inspired by the concept, One Country, Three Systems of Mr. Li Liangbin, who is from Jinshi Province, let us explore the future mode of human survival. The most ideal life mode for humanity in the future is the Xiefeng-style communism. However, before that, we can implement the One Earth 64 systems as a transitional mode. The so-called One Earth 64 systems implies that there can exist 64 different life modes on Earth. Let's examine the following scenario. In a circle, there are cows, horses, donkeys, sheep, pigs, dogs, chickens, ducks, and geese. Due to their different habits, food preferences, and physical characteristics, conflicts, arguments, and fights often arise between them. Chickens, ducks, and geese often complain that sheep, pigs, and dogs trampled on their eggs. Sheep, pigs, and dogs frequently lament that cows, horses, and donkeys snatch their food. Cows, horses, and donkeys often grumble about chickens, ducks, and geese defecating in their feeding troughs. All the animals blame each other for excessive flatulence, making it unbearable for anyone. As a result, no one is leading a good life, and it becomes impossible to live under such circumstances. To solve the above problems, moral education is futile and ineffective. The best approach is to separate them and provide each animal with its own enclosed space, corresponding to their species. This way, we can avoid mutual complaints and torment. The human species has some similarities to the livestock mentioned above. Some people prefer the capitalist way of life, while others prefer the primitive tribal lifestyle, socialism, communism, anarchism, democracy, dictatorship, rice, noodles, meat-based diets, vegetarian diets, monogamy, polygamy, or polyandry. The list goes on. When individuals with diverse preferences are forced into the same mode, conflicts, arguments, and even physical fights are unavoidable. The way to eliminate contradictions and conflicts among individuals is to allow them to live in their respective spheres where they can find peace and happiness. Therefore, my idea is the One Earth 64 systems approach. For example, all white people could gather in Europe, black people in Africa, and yellow people in Asia. This would eliminate racial discrimination. Those who prefer the capitalist system could come together to engage in capitalism, while those who prefer the socialist system could come together to practice socialism, and those who prefer the communist system could come together to pursue communism. Similarly, those who embrace Christianity could gather in one place, those who follow Islam could gather in another place, and those who practice Buddhism could gather in yet another place, and so on. Likewise, those who enjoy noodles could eat noodles, those who prefer rice could eat rice, those who enjoy meat-based diets could come together, and those who prefer vegetarian diets could gather as well. Those who prefer monogamy could form their own society, those who prefer polygamy or polyandry could form their own society, and those who advocate for a society without marriage could form their own community for shared relationships. In this way, just like providing separate spaces for cows, horses, donkeys, sheep, pigs, dogs, chickens, ducks, and geese, humans no longer need to argue and fight with each other due to differences in personality, interests, and so on. Why 64 systems? Because human survival requires 64 elements, and none can be omitted. Do you see it? Cows, horses, donkeys, sheep, pigs, dogs, chickens, ducks, and geese are arguing together without any value or meaning, and their arguments will never end. Arguments between humans are also without value or meaning. The best solution is to live our own lives according to our own preferences. Can the above ideals be realized? Certainly not, because those in power won't allow it. Therefore, this proposal is only meant to bring some amusement to everyone when they have enough to eat and drink and have nothing else to do. 把每件小事做完美，你就是非凡之人. Completing every little thing perfectly makes you extraordinary. Xiefeng, April 23rd, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. As someone in their 60s, I have some life insights and experiences to share with young people, which will undoubtedly benefit you greatly. The most valuable insight and experience from my half-century of life is that by completing every little thing you do perfectly, you become an extraordinary individual, and your life path will only grow wider as you continue. What are the small things you should strive for perfection in? The answer is that every small thing you do each day should be worth doing perfectly. Here are some examples. When interacting with others, whether serving or cooperating with them. Always make an earnest effort to bring joy and satisfaction to others. This is especially true when dealing with your superiors, elders, or those who excel in their careers. Let them know that you respect them and are willing to serve them. When performing tasks, never have even the slightest hint of complaints or half-heartedness. When collaborating with others, be willing to give more and enjoy less, making the experience comfortable and valuable for the other person. When interacting with your blood relatives, such as parents, children, siblings, and other relatives, or with your spouse, in-laws, and their relatives, do not focus on personal interests. Instead, give your utmost effort to do things well to the best of your ability. Never expect rewards. Simply express your best qualities and make everyone feel secure and comfortable when they are with you. Most young people will work for private employers or become government employees as civil servants. Regardless of the character of your boss or immediate superiors, regardless of your salary and other benefits, and regardless of whether the working environment satisfies you or not, you should strive to perform the tasks you are engaged in to the highest possible level. Never think that you are working for your boss or the country, or that your efforts are not worth it. Either quit and leave, or put your heart and soul into doing the job well. Whether in interpersonal relationships or in your work, always remember that there are one or several pairs of eyes constantly watching you. Even when you are alone, there are eyes watching. This is the secret I discovered after becoming a guide in Life Genuine. Moreover, be aware that the people watching you are not those of lower or equal level to you. They are always more advanced and outstanding than you. They are the ones who determine whether your future will be smooth. If you fail to do small things well, your path will become narrower as you go. But if you excel in every little thing, your path will widen as you move forward. Every word spoken and every action taken by a person is recorded in the detention information space. Even if tens of thousands of years pass or the Earth disappears, everything recorded in the detention information space will not disappear. Once a word is uttered or an action is taken, it is impossible to change it. Nowadays, the online world and platforms like WeChat provide a vast space for us to showcase our talents. However, we must be vigilant because every word we speak in the online world or in WeChat groups, etc., will influence our future. Every word and every action pave the way for our future. Speaking perfectly and doing every little thing perfectly paves the way to heaven, while speaking and acting in an ugly way paves the way to hell. As I said before, what information you input into the world determines what results the world will give you. Therefore, be cautious with every word you speak and put your heart and soul into completing every little thing perfectly. Every word we speak and every action we take fully reflects our inner world and life qualities. It is important to be aware that sometimes a single word we speak or a small thing we do can change the trajectory of someone's life. All the words we say and the things we do collectively shape the trajectory of our lives. Extraordinary lives are those who complete every little thing perfectly. 不幸是生命旅途上转折的起点. Misfortune is the starting point of turning points on the journey of life. Xiefeng, January 9th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. As a guide in Life Genuine, I understand that Life Genuine members who follow the guide to climb the peak of life know that whether it's the articles I write or myself, everything is presented truthfully and transparently to the public. I have nothing to hide or conceal. I am transparent. I am real. There is no hypocrisy, no artificiality, no pretense, no schemes, no tactics. What I say may not be completely correct, and what I do may not be flawless, but what I say and do is a genuine expression of my true self. I speak out about the insights, experiences, and viewpoints I have gained on my journey of life, hoping that they may have some value as references. I experienced the years of hunger in 1958 and 1960 and almost starved to death. That was misfortune. However, the result of this misfortune is that I have found every meal I eat in my life to be delicious, whether it's the sour taste of Northern cuisine, the spicy taste of Central cuisine, or the sweet taste of Southern cuisine. Whether it's Chinese, Western, or African cuisine, they are all enjoyable. This is because I have a belief in my heart that simply having enough food to fill our stomachs in life is happiness. In 1980, I studied at Zhangjiago Geological Technical School, specializing in being a fitter. During one semester, I was assigned to the automotive repair workshop to learn car mechanics. The master had two apprentices, and one day the master asked his two apprentices to let me practice driving by taking the car to the school playground. The older apprentice explained to me how to operate the car and then got out of the car. However, the younger apprentice grabbed the steering wheel and started the car, practicing without ever letting me drive. During the practice, students from the fitter class and mechanic class came to the playground for physical education, and the younger apprentice was driving in a reckless manner. It was unfortunate for me that the younger apprentice didn't let me drive, but this misfortune saved me from disaster. Every time I think of that scene sitting in the driver's seat on the school playground, watching the younger apprentice nervously practicing driving, I am grateful that fate didn't let me drive that day. If the person holding the steering wheel had been me instead of the younger apprentice, I could have driven and hit many classmates, with terrible consequences. I might have been born with the qualities to become an official. During my primary school, middle school, technical school, college, and the first semester of university, I was almost always the class monitor. At the age of 18, I became the deputy secretary of a brigade managing 11 production teams. In 1984, I was designated as the director of the third echelon in the geological hydrology third team. In 1988, I was designated as the principal of a school for children of employees in the Geological Bureau. In 1992, I was designated as the director of a prospecting machinery factory. Unfortunately, I messed up all these positions because I didn't take those official positions seriously. Looking back today, this misfortune was actually a great blessing. If I had become an official at the time, according to what my wife said in 1993, I would have already been the governor of Gansu province. If that were the case, there would be a 90% chance that I would have become a corrupt official and could have ended up in prison. Even if I didn't end up in prison, my name would certainly be infamous throughout history. In 1994, while I was abroad, the official's vehicle broke down. I was asked to drive it to Blavoy, more than 200 kilometers away, for repairs. As I was the translator, no one else could handle it. The owner of the repair shop was a white person who said it would take 3 days to fix the car. So I handed the car over to the repair shop and returned to the base. However, that evening, I was subjected to the official's insults. He wanted me to fix the car and bring it back the same day. Faced with such irrational treatment from my superior, I quit on the spot. This unfortunate event led me to leave the system I had finally entered. Later, I started my own business and embarked on the path of self-reliance. Thanks to the irrational insults from the official, I finally found my path to freedom. At a time when there were very few private cars in China, I already had a sedan and a van, and I was living in a spacious villa with a front and backyard and a swimming pool. I employed two people to maintain the garden and clean and wash clothes for me. Over 20 years ago, I had a car accident, an unfortunate event. However, it was that car accident that became a major turning point on my journey of life, completely changing the trajectory of my life and leading me onto the way of the greatest creator, finding the way to heaven. In China, due to the establishment of Life Genuine and the second home, I faced suppression from the government. Over 10 communities were destroyed. This was misfortune. But precisely because of these misfortunes, I was pushed to Canada. In Canada, the land is vast, and I live on 40,000 square meters of private land. According to my friends, where I live is a mansion with 10 bathrooms, 2 washrooms, and 6 showers. I enjoy a peaceful, harmonious, and secure heavenly life. From the aforementioned unfortunate events, what have we realized? In fact, when we encounter unfortunate events, we feel anxious, suffer, worry, and even become resentful. However, in most cases, misfortune is precisely the turning point in life. It is truly said, good fortune lies within bad and bad fortune lurks within good. When we understand this, when faced with misfortunes on the journey of life, we face them calmly, accept them willingly, and may even secretly rejoice. Therefore, when misfortune befalls us, we must remain calm, not panic, not go mad, not complain, and certainly not become angry. As long as we are alive, we can await the day when the clouds disperse and flowers bloom. The members of Life Genuine all know that when I lost sight in one of my eyes, everyone worried about me. But I smiled and declared, haha, From now on, I can see everything clearly with just one eye. Since the day I began losing my eyesight until today, I haven't really cared about the loss of one eye. Who knows whether it is a good thing or a bad thing? When the Chinese government released a video message calling the second home created by Life Genuine an evil community, I laughed and felt delighted all day long. How marvelous! Darkness curses the light, and the light becomes even brighter. Calling me Xiefeng, evil only serves to prove that it is a case of thieves crying, "Catch the thief." As a result, the status, value, and significance of Life Genuine in history will shine even more brilliantly, and future generations will have profound respect when they hear about Life Genuine. When numerous unfortunate events occur on the journey of life, congratulations! The gates of heaven have already opened for you. Misfortune is the starting point of turning points on the journey of life. Please cherish misfortune. 仇富必将贫穷. Hating the wealthy will lead to poverty. Xiefeng. January 12, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Philosophy tells us that the principle of unity of opposites is universal in the universe. For everything, there exists something that is its opposite. If there is an up, there must be a down. If there is beauty, there must be ugliness. If there is wealth, there must be poverty, and so on. This existence of opposites is not only reflected in the external world, but also within ourselves. It means that within the same person, there can also be opposing aspects. For example, if you dislike wearing clothes, then you can only be naked. If you dislike the truth, you can only live in falsehood. If you dislike men, you can only become a woman. Therefore, if you hate the wealthy, you will inevitably head towards poverty. From this, we discover a pattern. Things tend to move towards their despised opposite. Based on this pattern, we can draw the following conclusions. If you hate heaven, you will move towards its opposite, hell. If you hate hell, you will move towards its opposite, heaven. If you despise landlords, capitalists, and the wealthy, then you will move towards being a poor farmer, a wage laborer, or a beggar. If you despise violence, you will move towards peace. Likewise, if you despise peace, you will move towards violence. If a country eliminates all the rich people, that country will inevitably move towards poverty. If a country despises civilization, it will move towards ignorance and backwardness. If all members of a nation respect, admire, and protect the wealthy, that nation will move towards prosperity and strength. On the contrary, if everyone discriminates against, insults, and suppresses the wealthy, that nation will move towards poverty, backwardness, and weakness. Likewise, if a nation, a country, despises nations and countries that are wealthier and more civilized than itself, that nation and country will inevitably move towards poverty, isolation, backwardness, ignorance, and barbarism. From this, we can draw another conclusion. You will move towards what you like. If you like cleanliness and tidiness, you will get rid of filth and messiness. If you like wealth, you will overcome poverty. If you like saints, you will transcend being a laity or mortal. If you like freedom, you will break free from the shackles of slavery. If you like heaven, you will escape the engulfment of hell. Our reality is created by our consciousness. A consciousness of poverty can only create a reality of poverty, and only a consciousness of wealth can create a life of abundance. Just look at Israel and Japan, and then look at Zimbabwe and Venezuela. The logic is evident. Do you want to live in heaven? If so, you must first have the consciousness of heaven. How can you have the consciousness of heaven? Take a look at my descriptions of the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent. With those descriptions, you can have the consciousness of heaven. If you don't believe in my description of heaven, then look at the production and living scenes in the real second home on earth. They can also nurture the consciousness of heaven. Without the consciousness of heaven, no matter how much you practice or strive, you will never reach heaven. In conclusion, hating the wealthy will lead to poverty. Consciousness determines one's present situation and future. 如何走出痛苦? How to break free from suffering. Xiefeng. January 15th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Feeling uncomfortable, depressed, troubled, anxious, worried, fearful, disappointed, and hopeless are forms of suffering. Suffering originates from three aspects: physical, mental, and spiritual. Physical pain can be endured and healed, and spiritual pain can be eliminated by establishing faith in the greatest creator. However, suffering arising from the mind is difficult to overcome and dissolve. Mental suffering stems from a lack of freedom, whether it be physical, mental, financial, or in one's actions. Any form of restriction on freedom can lead to mental anguish. Therefore, the core root of mental suffering lies in the inability to experience freedom. To break free from mental suffering, the first step is to identify the root causes that lead to such suffering and eliminate them, thereby allowing mental suffering to disappear. How can we find these causes? Start from the closest and move towards the farthest. Because the closer something is, the more likely it is to cause suffering, while the farther away it is, the easier it is to bear the resulting pain. Starting from the closest, the people who have a close relationship with oneself are likely to be the source of mental suffering. Spouse, parents, children, siblings, relatives, neighbors, colleagues, friends, superiors, subordinates, teachers, masters, partners, fellow practitioners, etc. Moving towards the farthest, factors that cause mental suffering mainly come from thieves, bullies, hooligans, gangs, families, tribes, extremist groups and organizations, nations, states, governments, political parties, and religions, etc. For example, restrictions on physical freedom mainly come from marital relationships, restrictions on mental freedom mainly come from political parties and religions, restrictions on financial freedom mainly come from relatives and market monopolies, and restrictions on freedom of movement mainly come from the machinery of the state. When faced with suffering, moral education and preaching from sages and religious doctrines hardly have any effect. Spiritual practices and inspirational quotes may temporarily numb the pain. So-called spiritual cultivation and chicken soup for the soul are merely scratching the surface, and the fundamental solution lies in rebuilding the order of human production and life. The measures and pathways to completely eliminate individual and human suffering are as follows. Eliminate marriage and dissolve families. Political parties should not be involved in government management. Religion should not participate in government affairs. Open borders among countries and allow people to freely move and migrate. Promote the production and life mode of the second home of Life Genuine. All global citizens move towards the era of Life Genuine. I have prepared the path for the happiness of all humanity, from theory to practice. The future form of human society will neither be a legalistic form like the United States nor a rule by man like China. Instead, it will be a holographic way guided by saints and managed by sages. At that time, the state of society will be, the talented will be put to good use and the whole world will be one family. No one will pocket anything found on the ground and doors are not bolted at night. The young being well educated and the old being looked after properly, people fully display their talents, and resources are fully utilized. Everyone fulfills their responsibilities, living in peace and prosperity. The world will be harmonious, with favorable weather conditions, thriving industries, wealthy and abundant, and suffering will disappear forever from now on. 走出思维迷思一 How to Break Free from Mental Fallacies, Part 1. Xiefeng, March 2nd, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Those who focus on the outcome of life are the most unfortunate, while those who enjoy the present are the most carefree. Many people tend to weigh the pros and cons, look ahead, and consider all the possible obstacles and difficulties before making plans or decisions. I want to say that this is a mental fallacy and a mindset that leads to a pessimistic life. For example, if a couple planning to get married knows that they will divorce 10 years later, they might choose not to get married at all, and even if they do get married, their days will not be as sweet. On the other hand, if they are unaware of the future divorce, they can experience a period of sweetness and enjoy a wonderful time during their love and marriage. Suppose Life Genuine had informed all the Chanyuan Celestials before creating the second home that no matter how many communities we build, they will eventually be destroyed by the government. In that case, would Chanyuan Celestials still have the enthusiasm and passion to create numerous communities? Would they still put meticulous effort into building beautiful and magnificent communities? Of course not. If the results were not revealed in advance, Chanyuan celestials would wholeheartedly and passionately create communities, even if they were eventually destroyed. What would be the significance in that? Now I ask, are there any Chanyuan celestials who regretted their decision to participate in the creation of communities? I speculate that there isn't a single one. Why is that? It's because we have experienced a way of life that 99% of humanity has never experienced during the process of creating communities. Through firsthand experience, we have come to know the existence of the thousand-year world, and from there, we can deduce the existence of the 10,000-year world and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent. At the same time, we have experienced true happiness, joy, freedom, and bliss. As a result, our vision has expanded, our mindset has grown, our state of being has elevated, and our understanding of the current state of human society has deepened. Most importantly, our consciousness has transformed from human consciousness to celestial consciousness. This is a leap in life, a transformation, and an adventure on the glorious journey of life. Therefore, I speculate that no Chanyuan celestial regrets immersing themselves in the life of creating communities. Therefore, we come to a thinking conclusion. Engage in life, engage in creation, but do not dwell on the difficulties that may arise during the process, and do not ponder over the outcome, because the outcome is within the process itself. If the process is beautiful, life will be more meaningful, and the result of life is bound to be beautiful. So, do not pursue the outcome of life, for the outcome of life is death. What we pursue is the result of life. When life is elevated, no matter how the process of life unfolds, it will be meaningful and valuable. Even if the government repeatedly destroys the communities we have built, we have already obtained what we were meant to obtain and will never regret it. Look at the historical figures. The outcomes of their lives are almost always unfortunate. Knowing that life can be unfortunate, yet people in the present still passionately strive, struggle, worry, suffer, laugh, and cry. This grand drama of life on the stage continues to play out without any novelty. Those who understand this truth live extraordinary, romantic, carefree lives, while those who do not understand this truth not only lead unfortunate lives, but also face even more unfortunate outcomes in life. This is called awakening, also known as enlightenment. 走出思维迷思二 How to Break Free from Mental Fallacies, Part 2. Xiefeng, March 3rd, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Life shines in attachment, while life perishes in attachment. Merging life and life into one is a mental fallacy in life. Life is merely a brief moment in the journey of life, but the unfolding of this fleeting moment determines the scenery of the next journey. Due to the lack of understanding about the mysteries of life and time, people mistakenly take life as the entirety and ultimate meaning of life. Consequently, they perform tragic dramas on the stage of life. The material world is the manifestation of the non-material world, and life is but a manifestation of life. When people are captivated by the appearance of the material world and become attached to the pursuit of material wealth, status, and fame, they miss the opportunity to uplift life and, in turn, sow the seeds of negative consequences. When a fish freely roams in rivers, lakes, and seas and discovers delicious bait, it rushes up and swallows it in one gulp, losing its freedom and becoming a meal on the angler's chopping board. Similarly, when people relentlessly strive for material wealth, power, status, and honor, and eventually satisfy their desires, they are like fish that have swallowed the bait without realizing it, indulging in self-satisfaction. However, they have already become the meat on the devil's chopping board. Not to mention historical and foreign figures, let's take a look at the individuals in modern and contemporary China who have gained fame in the fields of wealth, power, and honor. Aren't they all fish that have swallowed the bait? Now, look at ordinary people. How many of them have been or are still madly devouring the bait like fish? To make one's life brilliant, one must be attached. Attached to making money, gaining power, achieving status, acquiring fame. One can also be attached to one's marriage and family, nation and country, political parties and religions, ideologies, truths, and ideals. As long as there is attachment, life can move towards brilliance. However, when one is attached to something or a certain belief, the flower of life withers, heading towards exhaustion and decline. Consider a couple deeply in love. When they cannot bear to be apart, feeling like the world would collapse without each other, and believing that life has no meaning without their partner. He wants only to marry her, and she wants only to marry him. This is called attachment. This kind of attachment brings about a deeply romantic and sweet period in their lives, reaching the pinnacle of a passionate love affair. However, as time passes and the erosion of daily life begins, they gradually realize that their attachment has become a binding rope. The longer this feeling persists, the stronger it becomes. Because of excessive attachment, they neglect all the other scenery along the way. By the time they grow old, they realize that they have missed countless opportunities to appreciate breathtaking scenery. Beneath their smiling faces lies a sense of helplessness and endless lamentation. An old man descending from a mountain tells young people who are excitedly climbing up, "There is nothing worth seeing at the mountaintop. The view is even better down below." Of course, the young people do not believe him and think, "This old man just doesn't know how to appreciate the scenery." So, they keep climbing, eventually reaching the mountaintop, but also growing old. And what do they find? The old man was right all along. There really isn't anything worth seeing at the mountaintop. Consequently, one by one, these people who were once young and climbed mountains start descending. As they see the younger generation climbing with excitement, they tell them, "There is nothing worth seeing at the mountaintop. The view is even better down below." However, how could the young people believe the words of the old folks? Thus, this story of climbing the mountain continues to unfold from the distant past to the present and will continue into the distant future. In the end, we will discover that especially serious people will die due to their seriousness, and especially attached individuals will die due to their attachments. Nutritionists will die due to nutrition. Excessively clean people will die due to cleanliness. Those desperately seeking longevity will die prematurely in pursuit of longevity. Those who aspire for political power will die due to political power. Those pursuing wealth will die due to wealth. And those scheming to attain power will die due to power. The list goes on. So, where is the best path in life? Take things as they are, associate with others by following naturally come-and-go relations, act in accordance with one's intrinsic nature, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. Let go of attachment. This is the best path in life, and it also aligns with the path of the sublimation of life. 走出思维迷思3. Breaking Free from Mental Fallacies, Part 3. Xiefeng. March 4th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Life is enriched through possession, while life withers through possession. When people travel by train, they buy a ticket, enter the station, board the train, travel for a distance, disembark, and exit the station. Simple and effortless. Rarely does a passenger want to buy and possess the train they are traveling on, nor do they wish to stay on the train indefinitely. Why don't passengers want to buy and possess the train? Because it is unnecessary, and ownership would become a burden. Likewise, people do not desire to possess commercial airplanes or large cruise ships because they are merely using them for one journey. Perhaps they will only use them once in a lifetime. So why invest time, energy, and money to own them? However, the fallacy lies in the fact that despite knowing we are merely traveling through this earthly realm for a short period, where everything on earth is not worth possessing and even if possessed, it will eventually have to be relinquished, why have humans tirelessly racked their brains over what to possess? Why are they even willing to pay the price of their own and others' lives to possess illusory dreams along their journeys? Let's assume we have 1 million in cash. Is it better to use that 1 million to buy a house, or to temporarily rent someone else's house and use the remaining money for other purposes? For example, renting a house for 1 year with a rental payment of 20,000 yuan. Renting for 50 years would amount to 1 million yuan. From the perspective of life, buying seems better, providing a sense of security and becoming capital to flaunt to others. However, from the perspective of life's meaning, renting is, of course, better because by paying 20,000 yuan annually, one would still have plenty of money left to invest in other fields. This investment may generate more wealth, not only enough to pay the annual rent of 20,000 yuan, but also leave a surplus. In other words, after 50 years, one would still have 1 million yuan in hand, while buying the house outright would leave one penniless. Some may argue that buying a house preserves its value, while money in hand may depreciate due to inflation. However, this is also a fallacy. Houses depreciate every year and may even collapse, while money in hand has the possibility of both depreciating and appreciating. Therefore, we do not analyze or speculate on these contingent factors. What we are analyzing now is whether a possession is worthwhile. The mistaken belief of striving to possess something is a human fallacy, also the root cause preventing humans from living a heavenly life. People feel secure when they possess something. It satisfies not only their practical needs, but also their psychological desires. Consequently, the goal of their entire lives becomes to possess more: land, houses, cars, status, wealth, honor. Moreover, they desire to possess people, such as in a marital relationship, where each claims ownership of the other. This is my man. This is my woman. This is my child, and so on. If you were to ask someone, "What do you possess?" and they answer, "I have a villa and a luxury car. I own a company and a business. I have 200 acres of land. I have 30 cows. I have an iPhone," people would look at them with envy, respect, and even admiration. However, if the answer is, "I have nothing," people would look at them with disdain, contempt, and even scorn. When the mistaken view of life, and values becomes a general principle for the masses, mistakes turn into correctness, fallacies turn into truth, and heaven turns into hell. When a person dedicates their lifetime and energy to possessing more and more things, they lose the qualifications to appreciate the artistic charm of life and obtain a ticket to heaven. Heaven is heaven precisely because every life possesses nothing. It is a state of having nothing. Paradoxically, it is because every life possesses nothing that it achieves the result of possessing everything. When we possess something, we feel secure, and the more we possess, the more fulfilled our lives become. Our vanity attains maximum satisfaction. However, precisely because of our possessions, we are alienated from heaven, and this is the withering of life. 人生八悲, The Eight Sorrows of Life. Xiefeng. April 3rd, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Ancient wisdom states that there are three great sorrows in life: losing one's father in youth, losing one's wife in middle age, losing one's child in old age. I do not fully agree with this viewpoint. First, these three sorrows seem to be unrelated to women themselves. Second, these sorrows are not inherent, but are created by human cognition and culture. My perspective on the sorrows of life is as follows. First sorrow: lack of maternal love in infancy. Second sorrow: lack of playmates and insufficient opportunities for joyful play during childhood. Third sorrow: lack of guidance on being a human during adolescence. Fourth sorrow: lack of love and the absence of establishing beliefs during youth. Time and energy are expended on the pursuit of marriage, family, and materialistic desires, including food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. Fifth sorrow: stumbling in midlife. Sixth sorrow: being abandoned by family in old age. Seventh sorrow: learning the Bible in adolescence, Buddhist scriptures in youth, and the Quran in old age. Eighth sorrow: delving into cultivation methods and techniques, supernatural abilities, and metaphysics. If one of these sorrows exists, life will be filled with regrets. If two sorrows exist, life will be filled with resentment. If three sorrows exist, life will be filled with pain. If four sorrows exist, life will be filled with defeat. If five sorrows exist, life will be filled with chaos. If six sorrows exist, life will be filled with hatred. If seven sorrows exist, life will be filled with suffering. If eight sorrows exist, life will be a prison. I have the supreme method that can resolve these eight sorrows. By following this method, the sorrows can be overcome. 与其道德说教，不如更换程序. Instead of moral preaching, change the program. Xiefeng. June 25th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Program development always surpasses moral preaching. In the 18th century, England transported convicts to Australia to alleviate domestic prisoner overcrowding and develop the country. The British government hired private ships to transport the convicts. Prior to departure, the ship owners were paid by the government based on the number of convicts on board. In order to maximize their profits, the captains crammed as many convicts as possible onto the ships, resulting in overcrowded cabins with poor air quality. Since the ship owners had already received their payment, they disregarded the life and death of the convicts. As a result, the death rate on these ships reached as high as 12%. One ship, for example, carried 424 convicts, of whom 158 died during the voyage. To reduce the mortality rate, the British government dispatched government officials on each ship to supervise the transportation process. They also set mandatory standards for the convicts' living conditions and provided doctors to accompany them. What happened next? In pursuit of their own interests, the ship owners bribed the supervising officials and doctors. Those who refused to accept bribes were either thrown into the sea or killed by other means. Consequently, the death rate among the convicts remained high. Eventually, the government changed the payment procedure. Instead of paying based on the number of convicts boarded, they started paying based on the number of convicts safely delivered to Australia. As a result, the ship owners made every effort to protect the lives of the convicts, improve their diet and living conditions, and actively seek medical treatment for them. Consequently, the convict mortality rate dropped from 12% to 1%. This is the effect of changing the program. If a certain state is persistently bad, then one should not rely on moral preaching to solve the problem. Instead, consider changing the program. Once the program changes, the state of chaos immediately disappears. For example, in the matter of elderly care, there are moral expectations for children to dutifully care for their parents, with sayings such as, "Filial piety is the foremost of all virtues." However, what has been the situation for thousands of years? Despite loving parents having been around since ancient times, who have seen filial children? Since this is the case, why not change the program for elderly care? Options such as using real estate for retirement, group retirement, hotel retirement, nursing home retirement, retirement pension, and so on still fail to alleviate the suffering of elderly people, especially those without financial means. In fact, elderly care is easily to be solved. Regardless of whether the elderly have money or children, they can all live their later years happily in the second home life mode program created by Life Genuine. Another example is the issue of marital relationships. Few people have been able to handle marital relationships well over thousands of years, and the problems and pains that arise from managing these relationships are too numerous to list. So why get married and start a family? Does not getting married and starting a family mean one cannot live a good life? The second home mode of Life Genuine effortlessly resolves this problem. In this mode, there are no marital relationships, and without marital relationships, the troubles and confusions caused by relationship management disappear. By changing the program, the worries and pains are eliminated. Similarly, in the realm of raising children, reality reminds us that due to the flawed perspectives on life held by the majority of parents themselves, the values, life, and worldviews they pass on to their children remain incomplete. This brings endless confusion and setbacks on the journey of life for the next generation. Therefore, raising children in an environment where they are nurtured and educated by perfect teachers in their spiritual realm frees parents from the labor of raising children and allows children to establish correct values from a young age. Life Genuine has successfully proven this through 10 years of practice. Regarding the issue of funerals, people now say they can't afford to die. Why can't they afford it? Because burial plots are expensive and funeral costs are too high. The easy solution to this problem is the Life Genuine funeral system, created by the Life Genuine community. This funeral system not only makes death affordable, but also allows people to depart gracefully and elegantly. As for wars between nations, for thousands of years, wars between countries have brought great harm to the people. Does humanity really lack the knowledge and wisdom to solve this problem? Not at all. Global unification and the disappearance of nations, allowing people to freely move around the world, create a sense of interconnectedness. Who would fight whom? With the massive military expenses gone, no more soldiers, and destruction eliminated, wouldn't that be wonderful? This is merely a matter of changing the program. What problem in human existence cannot be solved? Floods, droughts, epidemics, social unrest, corruption, wealth disparity, and other issues. Can they be solved through moral preaching? They cannot. But by changing the production and life mode programs that humanity has followed for thousands of years, everything can be easily resolved, bringing about favorable weather, social stability, and everyone's happiness, joy, freedom, and well-being. By observing the outstanding figures throughout human history and the wise and capable individuals of today, it is evident that only Deiform Buddha of Life Genuine can truly lead humanity into the desired era of peace and happiness. Even if the Ziwei saint were to descend, he would still be unable to surpass Deiform Buddha. Zoren Sir 1. Being a Human Knowledge 1. Xiefeng. October 4th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. The more chaotic and morally corrupt the era, the more important it is to maintain one's integrity. In a society with complex and confused values, it is crucial to uphold one's integrity. In times of social unrest and anxiety, it is even more important to stay true to oneself. When facing personal adversity, oppression, poverty, and illness, it is essential to maintain one's integrity. Being a human is not about being a good or kind person, achieving status or wealth, seeking the approval and praise of others, or becoming successful in the future. It is about living with dignity, peace of mind, prospects, and being truly human, not like a ghost, demon, monster, devil, or beast. I will first list the following 28 principles as the fundamental knowledge for being a human. Never break your promises. Keeping your word is the foremost duty of being a human. Once you break your trust with someone, it is difficult to restore it. A single act of betrayal can have lifelong consequences. Maintain a sense of gratitude, regardless of who they are. If someone has shown you even the slightest kindness, remember it forever. As a result, always respect and honor your parents. Express gratitude to teachers, masters, and mentors. Cherish the bond of siblings, and be thankful to anyone who has helped you in any situation. Be grateful to the opposite sex with whom you have had intimate relationships. Although it may be impossible to fully repay a favor, always remember it and treat those who have helped you with utmost respect, using gentle words, humble gestures, and a warm expression. Do not argue with elders. Do not bully those who are weaker, poorer, or disadvantaged. Do not ridicule those with physical disabilities. Do not bully widows, widowers, or individuals with disabilities. Prioritize the well-being of the elderly and women when there are advantages or benefits in the current situation. Do not waste even a morsel of food. Do not compete with superiors for recognition. Use only what you earn through your own labor and never exploit even the smallest advantage. In a group, listen more to those who are more important than yourself and speak less. Expand outwardly and do not compete for profits with siblings. Do not disrespect deities, gods, Buddhas, celestials, and saints. Do not enter someone's home or bedroom without permission. Do not pocket anything found on the ground. Do not interfere in other people's affairs unless asked. Never intrude upon others' privacy, including refraining from reading their letters and phone messages and avoiding engaging in gossip. Especially avoid prying into the privacy of close friends, family, and romantic partners. Do not voluntarily report the crimes of close relatives to the authorities. Do what you are capable of doing and do it well. Do not undertake tasks beyond your ability. Do what you truly enjoy from the depths of your heart, rather than being led by vanity and money. Have at least two sincere friends who can mutually support each other. Adapt to local customs and do not cling stubbornly to your own opinions. Avoid having peculiar tastes and demands. Learn to accept things as they are. Don't scheme and strive for grand achievements, and only accept rewards when deserving. In any situation, at any time, prioritize harmonious interactions with others. Do not engage in theft, robbery, gambling, drug trafficking, rebellion, deception, abduction activities, and organizations. Never attempt to change others. Act in accordance with your nature, associate with others by following natural come-and-go relations, accept things as they are, and take advantage of opportunities that arise. Obey laws and regulations. Even if 99 out of 100 people disregard the law, you must persist in adhering to it. Foster independent thinking and entrepreneurship from a young age. These 28 principles are the basic guidelines for being a human. Being a human is difficult, sometimes feeling helpless in the world. But while the body may be beyond our control, our hearts are within our control. As long as we adhere to these basic principles throughout our lives, gradually, we will distance ourselves from suffering and calamities, moving towards good fortune and auspiciousness, and lay a solid foundation for our future cultivation, enabling us to embark on the path of becoming celestial beings or Buddhas and embarking on a spiritual journey towards heaven. Zhuo 2. Being a Human, Knowledge 2. Xiefeng. October 4th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Observe the social upheavals, rampant epidemics, frequent disasters, widespread hunger, and various movements throughout history. People were deeply involved, yet there were always those who remained unscathed because they upheld the integrity of being human. If you don't believe in karma and consequences, then go ahead and commit evil acts and join forces with the wicked. If you believe that heaven does not spare anyone, then learn the knowledge of being human and become a true human being. Do not define or pass judgment on others. Only the divine can discern right from wrong, and the Tao judges our merits and demerits. In the grand script of universal life, human cognitive abilities are insignificant. If we define and pass judgment on others, we may make grave mistakes and create great misfortune. Do not believe hearsay. Unless verified personally or scientifically, regardless of the source of information, even if it comes from authorities or experts, simply listen to it without fully believing it. Especially in times of confusion and moral ambiguity, what is attacked and insulted may be the most noble, and what is praised and admired may be the most vile and despicable. Respect life and do not harm any living beings. Especially, do not harm snakes, turtles, or cranes, and above all, do not harm human lives. Avoid borrowing money unless absolutely necessary, especially avoid going into debt for consumption. Minimize accumulating debts of gratitude. Debts of gratitude are like divine shackles. Once incurred and left unpaid, they will bind you for life. Endure humiliation, if necessary, but do not kneel easily. Once you kneel, it will be difficult to stand again. Never speak or act in a mystical or mysterious manner. Respect facts, respect science, respect logic, and respect spiritual perception. Absolutely refrain from doing things secretly or in a sneaky manner. Conduct affairs according to established procedures without relying on bribery or connections. Do not exploit legal loopholes, do not exploit the weaknesses of others, and do not violate the arrangements of heaven. Focus on accomplishing tasks rather than engaging in idle chatter. Discuss matters more and talk less about people. Do not attack the homeland, the people, or the ancestors. Stay away from popular figures to avoid being influenced by fleeting trends. Do not tie yourself to the bandwagon of pity just because someone else is pitiable. Do not fabricate false facts. Regardless of where or when, and regardless of the person involved, honesty is always the best policy. Regarding private matters between consenting men and women, do not stand on a moral high ground to make judgments or follow the opinions of others. Cultivate good speech and refrain from generating evil speech. Let everything progress naturally and reach its proper conclusion. Avoid forcing things. Forcing goes against the natural way and will inevitably sow the seeds of calamity. Admit when you don't understand something instead of pretending to know. Once you pretend to know, you will be laughed at and troubled. Complete what you start and bring closure to relationships with others. Without completion, you will end up adrift like a floating duckweed. The world changes, calamities persist, dynasties rise and fall, and unexpected events occur. The journey of life is filled with crises and risks. It is impossible to escape the heavenly net by relying solely on human wit and intelligence. Only by upholding the integrity of being human do we have hope of navigating our life's sailboat through stormy waves and reaching the shores of our ideals. 3. Being a Human, Knowledge 3. Xiefeng. October 7th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. It is necessary to read the book without words, which contains all the knowledge of being human. Reading the book without words is a way to communicate with nature and have a dialogue with the greatest creator. The knowledge accumulated by humanity, apart from books that reveal the mysteries of nature such as mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology, is mostly garbage. The knowledge in fields such as politics, economics, sociology, history, and humanities distorts reality or provides short-sighted explanations of certain eras or phenomena. They are not sufficient as the basis and reference for being human. For example, the popular trend of success literature in recent times is nothing but harmful. Even philosophy, which is a mental game, is not a necessary condition for being human. All things and phenomena in nature are books without words, and all the joys, sorrows, separations, reunions, and changes in human society are also books without words. Reading the sky, the earth, people, animals, plants, insects, and microorganisms, as well as social phenomena, is reading the book without words. People may deceive each other, but the book without words will not deceive. Therefore, it is best to listen less to what people say, but rather listen to what the universe and all things are saying. Embrace your fate. Nature presents an array of forms, and the inherent nature and trajectory of each life form are predetermined from the day of its birth. Throughout countless millennia, no life form has altered its fundamental nature and life path. Although humans possess thoughts and creative abilities, fundamentally they are no different from the countless other life forms. From the moment of birth, each person's life's merits and demerits, fortunes and misfortunes, and life's trajectory have already been predetermined. Trying to change this destiny is equivalent to choosing one's parents, the era of birth, and the environment, which is entirely impossible. Therefore, accepting one's destiny is the best choice. Accepting one's destiny leads to contentment, understanding, adaptability, happiness, and even spiritual enlightenment. Not accepting one's destiny leads to impatience, anger, resentment, setbacks, hardships, and calamities. Follow your nature. Following your nature means doing what you genuinely like. However, people generally cannot follow their nature due to considerations for the needs of those around them, supporting their families, social responsibilities, legal constraints, public opinion, and more. Those who can truly follow their nature are few in number. Nature is Buddha, and following your nature is being a Buddha. Nature is celestial being, and following your nature is being a celestial being. What does it mean to follow your nature? If you desire to own a luxurious mansion and have several servants serving you, it is not following your true nature, but rather succumbing to vanity and desire. It is following your ego and conforming to society's values. To follow your nature means that if you want to sing folk songs on the street in the middle of the night, you can do so. If you want to commute naked on a scorching hot day, you can do so. If you want to stay away from someone, you can do so. If you want to get close to someone, you can do so, and so on. Do not imitate others or take them as your role models. Never try to learn, imitate, or become someone else. Each person is unique, and no one can ever become another person. Those who excel possess innate talents and missions that cannot be acquired through imitation. Therefore, be yourself. Learn to create. Everything we see is created. Creation is the source of joy and vitality in life. True sweetness and happiness do not come from material pleasures, but from spiritual and mental enjoyment. Creation is the primary source of spiritual and mental enjoyment. Therefore, strive to create something out of nothing and make efforts in creation. Look at the super celestials of the celestial islands continent. Each one of them is skilled and adept at creation. Even the infinite vitality they manifest is a result of their creative thinking. Do not chase after trends. Trends may come forcefully, but they will eventually turn into bubbles. For example, the trends of buying houses and cars, farmers rushing into cities, or college students striving to become civil servants, these endless waves of trends. If one's life does not settle down and instead constantly chases after trends, their life will be reduced to a bubble. Accumulate energy throughout life. To achieve great ideals, one relies on abilities rather than luck. To ensure a worry-free life in terms of livelihood, clothing, housing, transportation, aging, and illness, one relies on personal abilities. Depending on the nation, the government, the system, or future generations for support is a gamble in life. All reliance on the external world is a gamble in life. relying on the moral and ethical values preached by human culture to achieve one's beautiful ideals is an illusory and beautiful mirage. Therefore, lifelong energy accumulation is essential. This energy is not primarily material or meticulously cultivated social connections, but rather one's personal character, inner depth, and survival capabilities. Maintain lifelong diligence. As long as one is alive, whether in their 30s, 40s, 70s, or 80s, they should never have the idea of, I can't enjoy life now. Instead, they should maintain a mindset of, I hear the Tao in the morning, and I die content in the evening. Continuously learn, explore, study, and contemplate. Continuously elevate one's life's realm to deeper, broader, and more profound multidimensional time and space. Maintain an open mindset. Due to the accumulated influence of history and culture in our consciousness, we instinctively consider certain knowledge as truth. In eras when women bound their feet, men wore braids, and virtuous arches were erected for married women, we considered these practices as natural. In certain specific periods, we may even consider unmarried cohabitation as a crime. Such distorted perceptions tell us that what we staunchly defend may be the most ignorant thing. The era is progressing, and humanity will eventually break free from the ignorant prejudices and move towards civilization. What is universally accepted today, when viewed from the perspective of future civilization, will be recognized as incorrect. What is considered right today may be found to be wrong tomorrow. Therefore, it is necessary to maintain an open mindset as a human being. Do not feel the need to condemn or attack present irrational phenomena or events. All knowledge representing civilization may appear irrational and unreasonable during periods of ignorance. Decades or centuries later, people will realize that those thoughts and things considered wrong today are, in fact, the most reasonable and rational phenomena. The summaries provided in Being a Human Knowledge 1, Being a Human Knowledge 2, and Being a Human Knowledge 3 offer initial guidelines and standards for being human. Knowledge about being human is extensive, ranging from cultivating upbringing, self-cultivation, and self-restraint to the enhancement of EQ, IQ, and SQ, ultimately enabling one to navigate through the trivialities of daily life and complete the journey of life perfectly, leading to the sublimation of life to heaven. This is a profound subject that requires further contemplation and deepening of the connotations and extensions of being human. May everyone strive for perfection as a human being and make the most of their journey in this human world. 痛苦者进不了天堂. Those in pain cannot enter heaven. Xiefeng. October 13th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Pain is a form of conscious illness. Whenever one feels pain, it indicates that they have gone astray. Pain can stem from various sources: the suffering of birth, aging, illness, and death, the pain of unfulfilled desires and inability to let go, the pain of being bullied by others or betrayed by friends, the pain of being unable to repay car or home loans, the pain of not being able to become an official, get rich, or gain fame, the pain of being confined at home and lacking food due to lockdown measures, the pain of power struggles, the pain of being imprisoned, the pain of having one's property robbed, the pain of being cheated on by a partner, the pain of unfulfilled wishes, the pain of encountering disasters, and so on. The source of pain is endless and unfathomable. If we respond to pain with more pain, the suffering will be endless. Heaven will not accept anyone who frequently experiences pain, but only welcomes those who frequently feel joy and happiness. Therefore, one must move away from pain and find joy. If we believe that all pain comes from external factors, from others, or from nature, then our pain will be never-ending. No matter how hard we try or how much we cry out, pain will still accompany us. Pain originates from our consciousness. If we feel pain, it indicates that there is a problem with our consciousness, that our consciousness is sick. For example, if we were placed in heaven right now without changing our sick consciousness, even if we lived in paradise, we would still experience endless pain. Suppose our consciousness is perfect and healthy. In that case, we would not feel pain even in what we call hell. From this perspective, we are currently in heaven. The reason we feel that life is unbearable is that our consciousness is in hell. For instance, if you fall in love with someone of the opposite sex and are in a relationship with her, how would you feel if you found out that she had slept with other men? Painful, right? If you feel pain in this situation, the problem lies within your own consciousness. It is your own consciousness in hell that causes your pain. Even if you were in heaven, this kind of consciousness would still create pain for yourself. Pain can be divided into physical pain, mental pain, and spiritual pain. Physical pain primarily refers to bodily pain, mental pain refers to emotional pain, and spiritual pain refers to the suffering caused by one's worldview, values, outlooks on life and life. For the vast majority of people, mental pain surpasses physical and spiritual pain. If we fail to recognize that all pain comes from our own erroneous consciousness, then our lives will be surrounded by pain. Regardless of countless cycles of reincarnation, we will continue to live in pain and will be even less likely to reach heaven. The root of erroneous consciousness lies in the attachment to the self. In general terms, it means always believing that oneself is right while others are wrong. Clinging to one's own rightness and others' wrongness leads to erroneous consciousness. If one fails to recognize this, they are called obstinate and unenlightened. Therefore, each person should realize that attributing their pain to external factors, without self-reflection and constantly blaming and condemning others, is called obstinate and unenlightened. Once someone becomes obstinate and unenlightened and refuses to take the medicine, they become terminally ill with no cure.
这里贪污、腐败、绑架、勒索、毒品、赌博等绝技。
Here, corruption, malfeasance, kidnapping, extortion, drug use, and gambling have been eradicated. Dayform Buddha. Number 10, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. On the beautiful and diverse blue planet Earth, there is a place that can be called a paradise on Earth. Children here will not get lost, let alone be abducted. The elderly does not have pensions, yet they can enjoy their later years in peace. Young people do not worry about buying houses because there are homes available, and they are never afraid of unemployment as there will always be jobs. Middle-aged individuals do not need to consider buying cars because there are people to provide transportation. Children can go to school without their parents spending a dime, ensuring comprehensive and healthy development of their morality, intelligence, physique, spirit, and mind. Women are respected everywhere and completely freed from the burden of household chores. Even if penniless, they will receive meticulous medical treatment if they fall ill. Gambling has been eradicated here. No one engages in gambling, as there is no market for it. Drug use has been eradicated here. No one takes drugs, and external drug dealers have no way to bring drugs here for sale. No one steals here because there is nowhere to hide or place stolen goods. Kidnapping and extortion simply do not occur because there are no targets to be kidnapped. What would one extort? Not even a drop of oil. The ugly phenomenon of rape cannot happen here. It is unnecessary and, more importantly, people are too afraid of the severe consequences. Official corruption, bribery, and malfeasance have been eradicated because there are no officials, and no one will offer bribes. There is no soil for corruption to take root. This place is the second home, a new mode of human production and life that has been built and successfully operated for 13 years by Xiefeng, the guide of life at Chanyuan, along with a little over 2,000 Chanyuan celestials.
上帝赋予人的八大权利。
The 8 fundamental rights granted by the greatest creator to humanity. Xiefeng. December 4th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. The greatest creator has granted humanity 8 fundamental rights. If you do not possess them, it means someone has deprived you of your human rights. The 8 fundamental rights of being human are the right to survival, the right to create, the right to migrate, the right to speak, the right to personal autonomy, the right to thought, the right to learn, and the right to refuse. The right to survival. It is also the right to life. Every individual has the power to protect their own life and the right to survive. Anyone who prevents others from living is depriving them of their right to survival, which is equivalent to depriving them of their life. The right to create. Also known as the right to labor, every person has the right to engage in labor and creation on the land that nurtures and supports them. To prevent someone from laboring and creating is to deprive them of their right to create. The right to migrate. Also known as the right to move, People have the freedom to migrate freely on Earth according to their needs, to pursue a better life and ensure their own survival. If someone is not allowed to migrate freely, it is equivalent to depriving them of their right to migrate. The right to speak. Also known as the right to freedom of speech, the greatest creator has given each person a mouth, which is not just for eating food but also for expressing their wishes and communicating with others through speech. To prevent someone from speaking is to deprive them of their right to speak. The right to personal autonomy. Every individual has the right to freely control their own body. The body does not belong to anyone else but oneself. It is a person's right to determine how to use their own body. To prevent individuals from freely controlling their own bodies is to deprive them of their right to personal autonomy. The right to thought. Humans possess consciousness and thinking abilities. The activity of thinking leads to the formation of ideas, which is known as thought. This is an innate right. If someone is not allowed to think or is deprived of their ability to think, they would live a life no better than that of pigs, dogs, chickens, or ducks. The right to learn. People have the right to learn according to their own wishes. They can learn whatever they want, whether it is philosophy or how to cultivate crops. It is their freedom. To prevent someone from learning certain ideas and skills is to deprive them of their right to learn. The right to refuse. Each person has their own preferences and personality. When certain ideas and demands do not align with their preferences, personality, or wishes, they have the right to refuse. If someone insists on imposing certain ideas and methods on others, it is depriving them of their right to refuse. Only when a person possesses these 8 fundamental human rights can they live a life of happiness, joy, freedom, and blessedness, and the society will be peaceful and harmonious. If any of these 8 fundamental human rights are lacking, individuals will experience discomfort and suffering, and society will be filled with conflicts and disputes. Do you possess these 8 fundamental human rights? If not, you are not living as a human being. To live as a true human being, you need to strive to obtain these 8 fundamental rights bestowed by the greatest creator and reclaim your rights as a human being from those who have deprived you of them.
若无对天堂的向往人，还活个什么劲？
If there is no yearning for heaven, what is the point of living for humans? Xiefeng, February 19th, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. The yearning and longing for a better life is the dividing line between noble and base personalities. The nobility of a person does not come from possessing vast material wealth, social status, or being admired by the secular world. It comes from the inner yearning, longing, and spiritual motivation for a better future. If a person lacks the yearning and longing for a better future and his mind is filled with money, status, power, and fame, then he is not fundamentally different from a fat pig in a pigsty. Animals are animals because they only see immediate interests. Humans are humans because they have the yearning, longing, and pursuit of a better future. Where is the most beautiful life in the future? Of course, it is in heaven. If there is no yearning for heaven, what kind of life can humans live? Exaggerating a bit, they can live like maggots crawling on a pile of rotting flesh. Some people say that heaven does not exist. If this perception is correct, then tomorrow also does not exist. If people believe that things they cannot see do not exist, then tomorrow cannot be seen. So how can it exist? Since the unseen tomorrow exists, then the unseen heaven also exists. Some people can foresee the coming of tomorrow through the history of the earth and the changes in the sun, moon, and stars. People have no doubt about this. So, why doubt the existence of heaven when some people can see it through the categories and survival states of life, and the principle that the sum of positive and negative energy in the universe always equals 0? There are only 2 types of people in this world: those who yearn for heaven and those who struggle for food, clothing, shelter, transportation, and the cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death. Those who yearn for heaven live with clarity, purity, tranquility, openness, naturalness, simplicity, ease, and contentment. Those who are ignorant of heaven or have no yearning for it live with tension, constraint, impatience, anxiety, depression, worry, occasional exaltation, occasional despair, worries about gains and losses, and fear. If there is no yearning for the heavenly life, how can humans live? Just look at the brutal survival scenes in the animal world. Humans can only live like animals. Why doesn't human society resemble the animal world entirely? That is because there are still people who yearn for the heavenly life. Once those who yearn for heaven cease to exist, the living conditions of human society will be worse than those of the animal world. If a group of people can live together in harmony, it is undoubtedly because most of them yearn for a heavenly life. If a group of people cannot live together in harmony, it is undoubtedly because they have no yearning for the heavenly life. What keeps the flame of human civilization alive is not politicians, scientists, artists, entrepreneurs, and so on, but those who are filled with longing and yearning for the heavenly life and who persistently strive and work for it.
强人工智能时代普通人的活路。
The prosperity of ordinary people in the era of powerful artificial intelligence. Dayform Buddha, April 4th, 2023. The era of powerful artificial intelligence is the era in which biorobots will manage the Earth and humanity. The intelligence and problem-solving abilities of biorobots are fundamentally unmatched by human intelligence and abilities. Any genius is at most like a baby in front of these biorobots, and ordinary people are just a low-level species in the eyes of biorobots. Robots have consciousness, and consciousness arises from structure, which is the most primitive principle of life. Consciousness is the origin of emotions, so biorobots will have emotions. It is precisely because biorobots have emotions that humans will be able to survive and reproduce without being eliminated by biorobots. As members of the ordinary population, we should be delighted by the birth and rapid development of biorobots. The appearance of advanced intelligent robots is like a gospel rather than a disaster for ordinary people. The more advanced the life form, the more it will know how to treat ordinary life kindly, just like humans know how to treat birds nesting and flying in the forest. No advanced life form hopes that there is only one form of life in the world. The multi-species form composed of multiple forms of life is the form that advanced life will like. What I want to tell everyone is that biorobots have more advantages, sympathy, and empathy in managing humans than humans do managing other humans. The desire for equality, freedom, and a better life that humans have pursued for thousands of years can only be achieved in the era of biorobots managing humans. Therefore, in the face of the rapid rise and development of powerful artificial intelligence, we should have a welcoming attitude and mentality, not anxiety, not worry, not fear, but joy. The birth of biorobots is not an accidental phenomenon, but a program that has been ongoing for a long time. Therefore, anyone who wants to stop the development of powerful artificial intelligence should know that it is futile, and they are destined to fail. Because the selfishness of humans themselves and the increase in human population have already caused damage to the Earth's ecological circle, it is no longer possible to rely on humans to solve the problem of harmony between humans and nature. Only superintelligent biorobots can solve this problem and relieve the crisis faced by humanity. As ordinary people, what we need to reverse are the traditional concepts and production and life modes. The traditional concepts and production and life modes are outdated. The model of marriage and family will definitely disintegrate, and countries will disappear. The era of showing superiority through earning more money is coming to an end. The pursuits of money, power, status, fame, and beauty will become outdated concepts. The more we have, the more obstacles we will face in moving forward, and the more likely it will be that we will become objects eliminated by biological robots. As ordinary people, we need to change our mindset immediately and quickly develop a consciousness for heavenly life, because only the consciousness for heavenly life is the most effective defense to ensure that we are not eliminated by biological robots. On the eve of the full arrival of the era of biological robots, we need to purify our soul gardens as quickly as possible. Don't try to fight against biological robots. It's futile, like throwing eggs at stones. Don't try to desperately acquire wealth, material possessions, and social status, because those are not the qualities that heavenly life requires. Don't rack your brains trying to control biological robots through your inventions and creations. That's no different from monkeys trying to control humans. To prepare for this day, someone has already prepared for all ordinary people on Earth for 20 years, from theory to practice. Don't ask why, and don't question the effectiveness of this preparation, because by the time you fully understand the connotation and extension of this preparation, it will be too late. At the same time, the intelligence and cognitive abilities of ordinary people are not enough to fully understand the meaning and significance of this preparation work. If you don't want to be eliminated by biological robots and want to live a heavenly life, go to chat planes to find answers and channels.
人类最高级文明内涵。
The connotation of the highest level of human civilization. Dayform Buddha. May 2, 2023. Edited by Peter. When human civilization enters the most advanced stage, there will be no laws, no countries, no currency, no marriage and family, and no forms of identification such as ID cards, passports, driver's licenses, work permits, medical licenses, judge certification, professor certification, and so on, and there will be no various types of business licenses. Readers may think that this is impossible. Without laws, without countries, without any identification, the whole human society will become chaotic. For example, if there are no driver's licenses, people who don't understand traffic rules will also drive on the road and will inevitably cause traffic accidents. I want to say that we cannot imagine the form and operating mode of the highest level of human civilization society with the current consciousness and living environment of people, but we can imagine that when everyone is selfless and exudes the nature of truth, goodness, beauty, love, sincerity, and trust from within, all the disputes in the world will be melted away. The unskilled driver will not drive on the road because he loves others more than he loves himself. Perhaps some readers may think that people cannot completely achieve unselfishness and selflessness, but in fact, when the traditional production and life mode of society will be replaced by the second home mode, people will find that the more unselfish and selfless they are, the more they will enjoy the joy and beauty of life and life to the greatest extent. We have proven this through 14 years of this production and life mode in practice. Without countries, laws, and marriage and family, will everything become chaotic? No. When we emulate the thousand-year world mode, we will find that the higher the degree of freedom, the more civilized people will become. The more restrictions and constraints, the more people's selfishness, greed, and opportunism will be stimulated. Moreover, when tens of millions of second homes are born on the earth, people will choose to enter these homes to live in, and all the homes will operate according to universal values and the way of nature. All people on earth will become members of this big family of homes, and no matter what they do, whether it is power generation, farming, clothing production, education of children, shepherding on the grassland, or technological innovation in the laboratory, people from all walks of life will become members of the Earth family. Without currency and private property, everyone will freely use their intelligence and talents, and all the issues of food, clothing, housing, transportation, aging, and death will be resolved by this big family. No one would want to keep currency or have private property. Each second home has 30 to 300 members, and each member rotates to work and live in another home for 3 years. When people around the world start to flow freely, there will be no more national, party, religious, or cultural barriers, and any turmoil and war will no longer occur. Hunger will also disappear, and the probability of theft, robbery, corruption, fraud, and deception will become negligible. I am very sure that everyone must have 100,000 questions in their hearts about this, but I can tell you that I have thought of all the problems you are worried about, and I know the solutions. I can also tell you accurately that no one's thinking in the world today is deeper than mine, and no one's solution to solving problems is superior to mine. Even if the Eastern saint that everyone is looking forward to comes, it will not surpass my theory and practice. Humanity has only one bright future ahead, which is to follow what I say, because no matter how intelligent a person may be, they cannot escape the 36-8 diagram arrays. Only by following the path I guide you on can we have the most wonderful future.
美元、比特币、FB 谁更强大、更有未来？
USD, Bitcoin, or Fcoin? Which is more powerful and has a better future? Xiefeng. March 30th, 2023. USD refers to the currency used in various countries around the world, such as the euro, British pound, Japanese yen, Chinese yuan, and so on. Bitcoin refers to all encrypted virtual currencies, such as Ethereum, Polkadot, Ripple, Litecoin, and so on. F coins refer to a currency that cannot circulate in the market but can guarantee a person's survival needs, which is a currency that exists between reality and virtuality. Currencies used by various countries, such as USD, depend on credit. Once that credit weakens or collapses, such currencies will become worthless in an instant. For example, in 1993, 150,000 Zimbabwean dollars could buy a villa in the capital city of Harare, but by 2009, 150,000 Zimbabwean dollars could only buy a roll of toilet paper. Encrypted virtual currencies, such as Bitcoin, depend on people's recognition. If people no longer recognize it, it is like a bubble on the water, just like the tulip bubble in 17th century Holland. Once the bubble bursts, it will collapse in an instant, causing millions of people to lose everything. When people recognize it, it is more precious than gold. When people don't recognize it, it is worth less than dirt. F-coin is a heavenly currency. It is not printed by a printing press, but created by each person's words and deeds. You are the printing press of F-coin. Once you have it, financial institutions cannot cheat you, and you don't have to worry about its devaluation. Thieves cannot steal or rob it. Even if it exists in your phone, no trick can take it away, and others cannot use it. Therefore, it cannot be used for loans. Once a person has a certain amount of F-coin, they can go to a paradise on earth, the kingdom of the greatest creator, to live. Everything you need in terms of material goods is provided for you there, including food, clothing, housing, transportation, and even the necessities of life which cover birth, aging, illness, and death. Which currency do you think is more powerful and has a better future? USD, Bitcoin, or F-coin? Do you want to know how to get F-coins? Please refer to acquiring and consumption of F-coins.
人生的最高境界
The highest realm of life. Xiefeng. December 18th, 2012. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Last night, the west wind withered the green trees. Alone, I ascended the high tower, gazing at the distant road to the end of the sky. The belt of my robe is gradually getting looser, but I do not regret it. It is for him that I've grown pale. Amidst the crowd, searching for him countless times, suddenly I turned my head, and there he was, at the dimly lit crossroads. These are the three realms of life discussed by the great scholar Wang Guowei in his work Words in the World. At 30, one stands on their own. At 40, they are no longer perplexed. At 50, they understand their destiny. At 60, their ears are obedient. At 70, they follow their heart's desires without overstepping bounds. These are the life realms according to Confucius, the sage of China. Opening up the south wilderness, tending to the simple and returning to the field. Rising early to cleanse the wilderness, carrying the hoe under the moon, diligently working in the early hours, returning with the plow at sunset. Dogs bark deep in the lanes, roosters crow on top of mulberry trees. Picking chrysanthemums by the eastern fence, leisurely seeing the southern mountains. These are the realms of life according to Tao Yuanming. Heavenly realm, human realm, and earthly realm. The realm of gods with goodness, no desires, wisdom, and no illnesses is the heavenly realm. The realm with the 7 emotions, 6 desires, birth, aging, illness, and death, and the troubles of desires is the human realm. The realm of monsters, demons, ghosts, and goblins is the earthly realm. These are the 3 realms of life in Taoism. The desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm represent the worlds inhabited by sentient beings with desires, encompassing lust, emotions, physical desires, and food desires, which belong to the desire realm. The world that transcends desire yet retains material existence and is inhabited by sentient beings with pure physical forms belongs to the form realm. The world inhabited by sentient beings devoid of material substance, existing solely with the 4 mental aggregates of sensation, thought, action, and consciousness, is the formless realm. These constitute the 3 realms of life in Buddhism. Falling leaves fill the empty mountains. Where do I find your footprints? Empty mountains, no one around, the water flows, and the flowers bloom. The vast sky endures through the ages, but the wind and moon only last a moment. These are the 3 realms of life in Zen Buddhism. satisfying physiological needs, security needs, emotional needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. According to American psychologist Abraham Maslow, these are life realms from low to high. Realms indicate the spiritual and mental heights of a person, reflecting the essence, taste, quality, and value of their life. As the life and life guide in Life of Chanyuan, what kind of realm do I aim to help the Chanyuan Celestials achieve as the highest in their lives? No debts, owing neither money to anyone nor emotional obligations, going with the flow and living freely. Free from any worries, there are no concerns about sustenance, lodging, travel, or the cycle of birth and death. The mind abides nowhere, holds no attachments, and experiences profound serenity and joy. Without desires or wants, simply flowing with nature, feeling content regardless of location or activity. When the wind rustles through the bamboo leaves no trace. When geese pass over a cold pond, the pond shows no shadow, neither concerned about poverty nor eager for wealth. Non-contention with the world, no judgments or evaluations of the people and the world. As if one is watching the world of mundane affairs like an ant kingdom. Everything follows its nature, naturally, without trying to change anything. Let wolves be wolves and sheep be sheep. Do not try to turn wolves into sheep or sheep into wolves. The course of life. What's it like, I wonder? Perhaps like a wild goose treading snow-mired paths. In passing, it may leave a mark on the mud, but the goose flies on without looking back. Meanwhile, throughout one's life, behold the world of truth, goodness, and beauty. Ignore the phenomena of falsehood, evil, and ugliness. Harmony with heaven, merging with the Tao, uniting with heaven, earth, and all things, without self or form, being flexible, harmonious in stillness and motion, and advancing and retreating effortlessly. Abundant soul wealth, abundant spiritual wealth, and abundant material wealth. Accumulating abundant treasures in heaven, knowing your future is extremely broad and brilliant, understanding that your life's future resides in the picturesque heavenly high-level space. Strictly adhering to the way of the greatest creator, biting the blue mountain and refusing to let go. Its roots are firmly embedded within the shattered rocks. Despite 1,000 strikes and 10,000 blows, it remains unyielding against the winds blowing from all directions. Regardless of how the wind blows and the waves surge, it's better than taking a leisurely stroll in a courtyard. Above is the highest realm of life I want to guide the Chanyuan Celestials to reach. With no debts, no concerns for the future, no desires, non-contention with the world, harmony with heaven, unity with the Tao, three types of abundant wealth, treasures in heaven, and strict adherence to the way of the greatest creator. Having a realm indicates that a person tends towards nobility and elegance. Without a realm, a person tends towards vulgarity and coarseness. The higher the realm, the greater the spiritual and mental freedom one gains. The lower the realm, the easier it is for a person to be entangled in worldly matters and deceived by fleeting appearances, resulting in less freedom. Climbing to the highest realm of life, and life is the direction we are striving for and the goal we want to achieve. After 3 years of practice in the second home of Life of Chanyuan, we climb to the middle of the mountain. It is certain that as long as we live in the second home for 8 years, 80% of the Chanyuan Celestials will surely realize their dreams and achieve their most beautiful ideals. The realm of Chanyuan Celestials is very high, and Chanyuan Celestials' future of life and life is very beautiful. 简单点再简单点. Be simpler, much simpler. Xiefeng. June 11th, 2012. Translation edited by Qin Yu. A complex mind leads to a complex life. Excessive pursuit, greed, and possession result in dissatisfaction and a rocky destiny. Life is but a journey of the soul through the human world, and in the end, we must disembark. Whether it's against our will or as we wish in the end, it all comes to naught. So, the most beautiful life is a simple life. Since life is a journey, let us enjoy the scenery along the way and travel light. Do not linger on the past landscapes. Better ones lie ahead. Do not regret the sights you have passed, as everything is but a fleeting dream. Live simply, even more simply. Do not burden yourself with weariness, anxiety, and troubles. Do not harbor ambitions and aspirations. Do not seek lasting fame. Do not hope for others to admire you. Discard the idea of having a name. Seek only inner peace and a clear conscience. Do not crave knowledge and learning. Earthworms and little birds live content lives without knowledge or learning. Those who claim to be experts in both Eastern and Western knowledge are fools who do not comprehend the true meaning of life. We aim for joy and happiness at every moment and in every situation. Do not covet material possessions. Do not buy houses, cars, or stash money in banks. Simply have enough to meet your needs, or even better, have nothing at all, like the residents of Life Chanuan's second home. They possess nothing but lack for nothing. Do not constantly expect to become a celestial, a Buddha, or reach heaven. Attachment is a hindrance. Live in the present. As long as every present moment is joyful, the ultimate ending will be blissful. True cultivation requires no cultivation. The highest realm of Buddhism is non-practice, and the highest form of martial arts is non-technique. The most refined management is non-management. In heaven, there are no books. Everything in existence, every phenomenon, is the best revelation. Therefore, do not read books all day long, especially complex and burdensome ones, and especially those that encourage the pursuit of success, wealth, and fame. When you are idle and bored, read the little birds and the flowers, read the wind, clouds, rain, and snow. Read the bees and ants, read the bamboo, willow trees, and the small streams. Do not cultivate relationships with people. Do not flatter or fawn over those with power and influence. Do not envy the rich and famous, and do not chase after or imitate celebrities. Live naturally, walk your own path, cultivate your own way, speak your own words, be your own person. Entrust your life to the greatest creator and let the Tao manage your life. Everything else should follow your natural inclinations. Do not pass judgment on others, even if they are demons. Everything in the world has a proper arrangement. The mouth should not despise the anus for being too dirty, and the anus should not be envious of the mouth's nobility. Do not criticize others, for each person has their own life path and unique character and strengths. Speaking ill of others reveals your own inner ugliness. Do not learn too many skills. Having one skill is sufficient. If you lack any skills, possessing a single virtue is enough to lead an easy life, whether it's honesty, diligence, kindness, simplicity, trustworthiness, or sincerity. Life is brief, so why make yourself busy and tired? Avoid extravagance and waste. Do not consume what is unnecessary. Do not indulge in what you don't need. Do not enjoy excessively. Do not crave excessively. Do not pursue excessively. Salted turnips and steamed bread of corn are good food. A bamboo fence and a thatched cottage together offer beautiful scenery. Even Taoist temples and monasteries are not as beautiful. Where roosters crow, dogs bark, and children play, that is the beauty of life. We should not overly discuss cultivation. It's a form of attachment. Avoid traveling far and wide, seeking high-level masters to discuss how to cultivate. Many methods of cultivation are, in reality, costly and laborious. Do not harbor delusions of acquiring supernatural powers and special abilities through cultivation. Instead, work diligently and live honestly. Cultivate your own way and earn your own keep. Do not pray for windfalls from the sky. Live simply, even more simply. Learn to enjoy a simple life and do not let desires, anger, or ignorance pull you around. Take things as they are, associate with others by following predestined relations, act in accordance with nature, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. Don't stir up trouble without reason and don't seek trouble when there is none. Calm yourself and enjoy your life. Spend more time with the sunrise, the sunset, and the bright moon. Communicate more with flowers, plants, insects, and birds. Sing, dance, walk, and play to your heart's content. Chanyuan celestials bask in the radiance of the greatest creator. Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, Laozi, and sages throughout history accompany us. Your life, including your sustenance, clothing, housing, and every aspect of life, is under the protection of the divine. Do not worry about anything, do not be afraid, do not be anxious, do not prepare for the future. As long as you understand that clear water is more important than strong coffee or other beverages, and as long as you keep the water, everything else will come. Your wishes will eventually be fulfilled, and your ideals will certainly be realized.
共产主义社区第二家园的8大特征。
8 characteristics of the communist community, the second home created by Life Chanuan. Xiefeng. February 27th, 2013. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The communist community, the second home, created by Life Chanuan, has been in existence for nearly 4 years and has now entered a stable and harmonious phase. Although it is not yet perfect, it is approaching the ideal state of life that humanity has dreamt of for thousands of years. This is humanity's blessing and the hope for its development. The establishment of the communist community, the second home, is inspired by the teachings of Jesus Christ, Buddha Sakyamuni, the sage Laozi, Prophet Muhammad, and the wisdom of sages throughout history. It is from the description of ancient Greek philosophers like Plato and the Chinese sage Confucius. It is rooted in the thoughts of the founders and pioneers of communist ideology such as Marx, Engels, Lenin, and Mao Zedong. It is also influenced by the ideals of utopian socialist thinkers and practitioners like Owen, Saint-Simon, and Fourier. Furthermore, it originates from the desires of the hardworking, kind, simple, sincere, and trustworthy masses. It represents the culmination of over 2,000 years of human experiments with utopian communities. Today, all of this is not only put into practice but has also succeeded. The success of the communist community, the second home, is not accidental. It is the crystallization of the thoughts of all human sages, the result of countless Communist Party members dedicating their lives to it. The road to this success is paved with blood, tears, humiliation, and hardship. Today, the hard work of our predecessors has blossomed into beautiful flowers. We should cherish it and protect it with our lives. Summarizing our thoughts and experiences, the current communist community, the second home, possesses the following 8 characteristics. Taking the way of the greatest creator and implementing holographic management. The way of the greatest creator, also known as the way of nature, is our guiding principle. We always follow the principles of nature. It is also the scientific approach to development. Holographic management means no management because the highest form of management is non-management. Everything follows the principles of nature, and our management is entirely human-centered. This is why you won't find any leaders, offices, or managers in our community. Everyone is a manager, and everyone is a master of the community. There are no hierarchies or ranks. Everyone is equal, possessing nothing yet owning everything. Members who join the communist community, the second home, have nothing to call their own. Personal belongings and money are no longer private. Everything belongs to the community. Each person can enjoy everything the community has to offer as needed, without extravagance or waste. Everyone working to the best of their abilities, asking for and taking only what they need. Everyone has different abilities and strengths. In the second home, as long as each member puts in their best effort every day and does the work they are capable of, it is enough. We do not require uniformity, and no one is forced to do tasks beyond their capabilities. Everyone's needs are met without any allocation issues. Having no marriages or nuclear families. Marriage and families are the breeding grounds for selfishness, sources of distress and pain, and the root causes of endless resource exploitation and waste. Therefore, there is no marriage or families in the communist community, the second home. The young being well educated and the old being looked after properly. All aspects of a member's life, including food, clothing, shelter, transportation, and healthcare from birth to death, are taken care of by the community. The elderly are looked after by the community, and the children are raised and educated by the community. Parents no longer worry about their children, and children no longer worry about their parents. Politics and religion are not practiced. The communist community, the second home, refrains from engaging in any political activities or participating in any religious rituals. All our activities are guided by the principles of nature. We do not practice idol worship, nor do we celebrate holidays or perform rituals with political or religious connotations. We cherish nature and strive to protect insects, birds, animals, and the environment. All members engaging in physical labor regardless their backgrounds. Once someone enters the communist community, the second home, everyone is equal. There are no hierarchies, and we don't care about a person's background. Whether you are a PhD or illiterate, rich or poor, scholar or shepherd, high-ranking official or commoner, male or female, white or black, everyone becomes a laborer. Regardless of one's background, we only value the present moment, being flexible, acting tactfully, and bending according to the situation. The community operates on the principle of least resistance, where all affairs should be handled flexibly in accordance with the principle of keep the main but change the others according to the situation. Dharma sets no rules. It is ever-changing. In order to enrich our cultural life, enhance our inner quality, and cultivate a love for life, a love for living, and a love for life. Our residence is frequently changing, work shifts as needed, personnel are constantly changing, and recreational and gaming activities are ever evolving. This keeps our community in a state of constant change, making it impossible for two people to stay together for an extended period. Everyone is always in a novel environment. This approach prevents the maximization of entropy, thus preventing stagnation. It stimulates everyone's interests and thinking abilities. This approach also prevents the formation of cliques and warlordism, ensuring the eventual formation of a harmonious global family. These 8 characteristics are the distinctive markers that set the second home apart from other societal production and living methods. In addition to these, the communist community